My name is Brian Pujala, born and raised in Miami, and all the way through and through. I feel like I have to say that with some caution because it can be a good or bad thing. But I'm a Orange Theory fitness instructor and a Soul Cycle instructor as well. So I'm relatively new to the fitness industry. I've been here. I actually made a career switch in 2019 to 2020, right when the pandemic hit. So perfect time to switch my career and then have everything
Wow.
shut down. So
And what were you doing before?
so before I was working in corporate America, I was working for Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings here in Doral. And I was working in human resources. I was an HR business partner. So I handled leaves of absence, performance discipline conversations, things like that. And I had really been working through, I guess, different companies. I worked for Ryder, which is a big trucking company, and I think they do logistics as well. It's been a
Hmm.
few years. So I worked for them, and then I worked for Office Depot's headquarters up in Boca Raton, which is like an hour and a half north from Miami. And I worked for like a smaller insurance company, and then I landed Norwegian, and that's really where I felt like I fit in the most, and it was a lot of fun. But I it I hate the way it comes off, but I feel like I just had so much more to give to the world, right?
Yeah.
And I enjoyed what I did and I saw the benefits of what I did when I did them. But I knew that I did not want to be within those cubicle walls for 10 hours a day.
Right.
I didn't know what my
Did you know
purpose was.
right away?
No, I didn't. I
It
actually
crept up on you?
it definitely crept up on me because I was definitely the one that I love stability. I love stability and I loved the idea of being able to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. I knew I had my nights off. I knew I had my weekends off. I knew I had all the major holidays off. And that for me was crucial. And the more I lived it, the more I realized, oh, it's actually not as fun as I thought it was going to be. And so it definitely crept up on me and the opportunity to sort of really switch careers um, landed when uh, I was going through a kind of like a dark time in my life, and I just needed an escape. I needed a
Yeah.
big escape, and so I loved spinning, and that was really what helped me get my mind off of everything else that was going on. And I love SoulCycle, which is what who I work for now, but I couldn't afford them. They're just too expensive. And so I joined Cycle Bar, which is another premium indoor spinning studio, cycling studio. And so they had an unlimited membership. And I said, this is it. This is for me. And I started riding and I rode a lot with one of their lead instructors. And she approached me one day and she asked me if I ever thought about teaching. And I said, well, listen, I will do anything for $1. So I said, if you're going to pay me to come and teach and I get my workout in and, great, I'll do it. And so I
Yeah.
auditioned, I got in and I started it really as a side gig. And I was working, Monday through Friday, I was working my corporate job and then I would go and teach a couple times throughout the week, either in the morning or in the evening, sometimes on the weekend. And then I really realized how much I enjoyed teaching and
I was going to say, you
educating.
have a gift for channeling people's, um, I don't want to say energy. That's not the right
It's
word.
maybe strengths inside. Yeah,
Yes.
it's so
Yes.
I think it takes
Like when you say, you can do it. I'm like, yes, I can.
yeah.
Yeah, actually, I can.
Yeah. That's yeah, I think it's just it's and it's funny because it's I don't even feel like it's me. It's I just help sort of pull the curtain back. And
Right.
I think that's when everyone themselves realize, wow, I have all of this behind the curtain that I can pull out and use to my benefit. And that's I think when we have those breakthroughs
Mhm.
in anything really because I don't think it's just fitness, right? I always say what we do in that space, what we do at Orange Theory, what we do at Soul Cycle, it really just sets you up for life. It's
Right.
not just a workout. It's not just to look good, right? I always say you take risks, you take on challenges in this space, you're going to learn to do it outside. You're going to learn to do it when it counts because in here it's safe, right? You can
Right.
take a risk and you can easily pull back. So when we're talking about weight, when we're talking about speed, when we're talking about wattage on the rower, when we're talking spinning and runs out of the saddle and all of that stuff, it's very easy to take a risk and say, "Oh, I bit off too much and I
Hmm.
can't chew it. So now I can pull it right back." Right? And I think the opportunity to constantly be taking risks allows us to realize how much power we have in ourselves, and then that will translate into your life. So those of us who need a career change
Yeah.
or, need just a little push to do something that we've always wanted to do. So that's how I always see it.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love the way you put that. That's amazing. Yeah, and it is more than a workout.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like
I
therapy.
think it's
It's cheaper than
the last
therapy.
thing it is the workout.
It's
It's
correct,
yeah.
100%. It's the workout is the last of it. I
Yeah.
always say it's like retail therapy, right? It's just another form of therapy. It's another form to
Right.
just disconnect, and we all have so many things going on in our lives. We all have work and families and just personal things that we
Yeah.
have and that we have to work through, and it it's just a moment where you can just disconnect and,
Right.
you know, catch up with yourself for a moment.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love the way you put that. I want to go back to that time when you knew you had to switch careers.
Yeah.
How did that go?
It actually went very smooth for me,
Yeah.
at first,
Right.
and then it really sucked. Um, so, I was teaching and I was teaching at Cycle Bar part-time. A friend of mine who was an Orange Theory instructor, Natasha, I don't know if you've ever taken her class. Yeah,
Yes. Every
so
Wednesday, 8
every
a.m.
Wednesday in
I
the
love
morning, yes,
her.
we all love her. She's amazing. So, she was actually the one that said, "Hey, I think you would be really great at this, and we're having an open house for trainers, and you should come out and try it out and see what you think." So I said, "You know what? I have nothing to lose. Nothing to lose at all." And I went and I got it. They wanted to bring me on board, and so I went through the whole certification process, and I got certified as an instructor, as a coach with Orange Theory. And this was all still while I was working my corporate job. So this was
Wow.
all kind of trying to take vacation time to go around and do this. And then at the same time, Soul Cycle had sent out communication that they were auditioning for instructors. And the way I'd always seen Soul Cycle was the very, very top of the fitness industry.
Right.
And I think they still are. I think that's very much who they
Yeah.
are and what they are. And I thought to myself, there is absolutely no way that I'm going to get into this because I've only been teaching for like 5 months at the time. And so I went in with the mindset of I'm going to see what it is, I'm going to see what the structure is, and I'm just going to learn from it
Right.
and
See what
I
happens.
see what happens, and then that way, when they come back for auditions later on in the 6 months, a year, whenever that may be,
Hmm.
I'm ready for it, and I know exactly what they're looking for. And they asked me everything. They told me what to prepare for the audition, and I went and I auditioned, which was a very scary process because there's so many people and there's so many eyes on you. But I just went through and went through and went through and kept going through, and I got to a point where I got the offer to go to training, and I was like, "Holy crap, I didn't
Yeah,
expect to
I
get this far."
did it.
Like, this actually, I didn't even know I was gonna go. So, it was s strange, and it was fast, and it was unexpected and fun, and I said, "You know what? I think I'm ready," and I was in a very, very good headspace at that time, and I decided, you know what? If I don't take this now, I know for a fact that I will look back one day and regret that I didn't do this. And if I fail and this doesn't work out, it's still a win for me.
Yeah, because at least you know.
At least I know. I
Right.
tried it and I can never look back and regret what I didn't do. Right. And those are our regrets. We never
Yeah,
regret the things that we do. We regret the things that we don't do. That's
exactly.
how I think of it. Cause
No, I agree.
and so that was the transition. I eventually left my corporate job, and then the pandemic hit. And then we were all sent home, and the gyms shut down. And so for 3 months, well, at least in Miami, we were shut down for 3 months. I was questioning why this happened to me and if I had made the right
It's
choice.
not funny, but
And I know it's hysterical now looking back. Now that I know I'm in a good position, I like looking back, it's
yeah,
funny. I
it's
Because it's crazy because you think, "Here's someone who finally had the courage
I
to,
know,
like,
like, you
take a
did it,
risk,"
and
and I
then
did it.
it gets pulled out from under
Yes,
you, like,
yes,
"What?"
yes. I know. And so it's funny, but, although I questioned it, I never regretted it.
Mhm.
It was more of me questioning why? Like, why is this
Yeah.
happening to me? What is the lesson to be learned
Did
here?
you think this means I have to go back to my corporate job? Like it's not meant to be type of thing?
I don't think that I ever thought that. I just
That's
thought to
good.
myself, maybe fitness isn't the route for me, but corporate wasn't either. So maybe it's just time to look for something else.
Right.
And ultimately, we opened up, we went back to it, we picked up kind of like where we last left off, and I just ran with it. And here we are. I mean, what is
Yeah.
it? Over a year, like a year and a half later, here we are, and everything is going great. And honestly, things couldn't be better right now. So I'm
Had
happy.
you ever had like a teaching experience before? Before you did any of this?
No, outside, well, within human resources, we definitely did. I mean, we were in charge of training development.
Right.
So there were moments where, yes, I was
Yeah.
definitely training, just in a different capacity. I was doing
Because
new
you are a
hire
natural.
orientation.
Like,
I don't know. I
no, you are. You're really good. You
well,
are.
I thank you for that. I really do. And it really does mean a lot when people come up to me and tell me how
Yeah.
much they enjoy my class and how, they got something out of my class or they enjoyed the music or what. I mean, as long as you leave my class with something new or just, you having enjoyed yourself, I think I
Mhm.
did my job. And it really means a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe not everyone's like this, but like I'm definitely one that needs validation. Like I need
Yeah.
you to tell me that like you
No,
had fun and you
I understand because
yeah.
so I don't know if I told you, but I was a teacher for
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
11
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And
Crazy.
you kind of know when you're having an effect, but you do need that like, hey, I got something out of
Right.
this today,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
Right. It's
You,
worth it.
you need it.
Yeah.
You need that confirmation that what
Yeah.
you're doing is the
Right.
right approach, the right
100%.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
And you're a natural, my friend. Like
Well,
you're so
thank you.
good.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
try. I try. I
And
try.
teaching adults is like
It's
a
harder than
whole
kids.
different ball game. Like some people are like the music is too loud,
Oh my
the
gosh. I
your outfit
know.
is too bright,
Yes, I
like
know. Oh,
the
we've had
temperature's
we
off.
we are like we coach are like some babies. I'm like, oh come
Yeah,
on. And like you're going like so hard on the tread, but you're like complaining that the music's like a little too loud. I'm like, oh come on, just
it's
move on.
just music.
It's
It's
just
just
yes,
have
yes.
fun.
I know, I know.
Yeah,
It's funny.
it's
Sometimes I have gotten that from time to time, and I'm like, well, there's earplugs in the corner. You can go grab some because I'm not turning the music down.
good for you. Good for you.
Oh well. Oh
It's
well. You lose one, but you gain 10, so
yeah.
whatever.
No, and I feel like people like that though, they're going through something
Right.
and you're not gonna fix it by turning
Right.
down the music.
Correct. Yeah. They could
It's
just be
yeah.
projecting or
Yeah,
they're taking
it's
it out on
something
something
else.
else. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So you can't take it for yourself
Yeah.
because there's no point.
I know. I know.
But yeah,
Anyway.
it's awesome. I'm so happy. So a friend of mine said, "You have to take this guy's class." And I was like, "Okay, why not?"
Sure.
Yeah. So I go take your weightlifting class,
Yes.
which I've never done
I know.
before.
I
And I was
know.
like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna die. What am I doing here?" And you were like, "We're gonna do this." And we did. And I
We're
was like, "That's it. This is my man.
this
Like
is
my
it.
teacher. I found my teacher."
Yeah, I
It's
love that lift class because
yeah.
it's different. We don't do cardio there. It's just all lifting
Right.
weight and again, it just gives you the opportunity to just jump up in weight
Right.
and trust in yourself and realize how strong you are. And that happens time and time again. I'll go to someone who's lifting a set of 20-pound weights and I'm like, I know you can do more. We'll grab the 35. And they're like 15 pounds. Like, no way, no way. That's too big of a difference. And I say, no, it's not. Just try it. I said, just give me one. If you can only do one, it's only one.
Yeah.
We do one. I'm like, you can have it in you. Can you do another one? Yes. Two, three,
Yeah.
four, all the way up to 10. I'm like, you just did that with like 15 pounds more than what you had
Right.
in each hand, right? So total 30 pounds more. And it's amazing the look on their face. They're like, wow, I didn't think I can do that. And I'm
That's
like,
me. That's me. What? I did that?
yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane.
I
It's
love
a lot of
that.
fun. It's a lot of fun. That's validation for me as well.
Yeah.
That makes it really, really good.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider having your own studio?
I don't know. It's funny because I've thought about that. I really have. And it's hard because I definitely preach things that I think I myself need to work on as well. And it
Right.
could definitely be like a projection. Like there are certain things that I'm scared of that
Mhm.
hopefully in my teaching and my coaching, maybe I can see you succeed in that. And then in that way, it kind of gives me the power to kind of jump for things.
Right.
Right. And I think, I mean, we're all like this. We all fear failure. And I think
Yeah.
opening up your own studio, your own store, your own restaurant, when there's just so much competition in those, in those markets, in those industries, my fear would be that I would fail, because
Yeah.
especially in Miami. I mean, the fitness industry is huge here, and there are so many gyms, and there's so many amazing
Mhm.
owners and instructors and coaches. And so I think that I would be comfortable enough to work alongside someone and not lead my own studio.
Right.
And also I I think that there's still so much more for me to learn in
Mhm.
this industry for me to like figure out whether or not I really, really
Yeah.
want to open up my own studio. I love the coaches that we have because I always learn so much. And I try to jump into other people's classes because it really does teach me things. It teaches me how to how to deliver something differently
Mhm.
or how to explain something in a way where people really understand. We have a coach that we just onboarded who is getting his PhD
Oh,
in
wow.
in exercise science, I think it is. I
That's
don't exactly know what it
amazing.
is, and he is such like a wealth of knowledge. It's insane. And I just want to sit with you and like pick your brain because he
Right.
can he can really get into the nitty-gritty and really explain what something does for your body. And so I think I still need to continue building myself around those individuals so
Mhm.
I can soak up. You have to teachers are students as well,
Yes.
and we're always learning.
Yeah.
And I think the moment that you think that you know it all, I think that's the beginning of the end for you.
Mhm. I
So,
agree.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
I don't know, more to come. More
Yeah.
to come on that, we'll
Well,
see.
I'm excited to see where the road leads for you
Yeah,
with
yeah,
that.
me too.
I think it's gonna be super cool. What's it like having to motivate people on the daily?
It's it's just as challenging as it is rewarding.
Yeah.
And for me, like I said, I talk to people all the time. I really do try to connect with everyone that comes to class and those thank yous, those moments where they pull me aside and they tell me that I've made a difference. It really is amazing and it validates that I am where I need to be at least in this moment in my life. But it is very exhausting as well, and it's exhausting for two reasons. One of them is really finding the motivation. It's like hard to pull out
Mhm.
everything, every moment of every day, right? Because I'm human too. I go through my things.
Yeah.
And there are moments where I feel unmotivated. And so I think trying to set that aside is hard for a lot of us. A lot of us, I have a very hard time kind of dividing up things and
Mhm.
putting things aside for one thing. And so for me, although I enjoy it and I give it everything that I can, there are times where it is very exhausting and it just feels like the right words aren't coming out. And then there are also things like I mentioned earlier that there are moments where I struggle myself
Yeah.
with things in my life. I sometimes I wonder if I'm on the right career path. And sometimes I wonder, if I'm really making that big of a difference in people's lives as we all would like to
Mhm.
make. And there are moments where I give all this advice that I can, but I don't follow it myself because I myself struggle sometimes with, you know, just clarity on myself and my self-image. And, I
Yeah.
deal with a lot of like body positivity and body shaming. And there's, it's a lot like in the fitness industry. I think that there's sort of this expectation that you need to look a certain way
Mhm.
and that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure and it sort of forces you to really, really push yourself to the limit. And we break too.
I hadn't thought about that. Um, yeah, I never thought that you guys felt pressure to look a certain
Absolutely.
way.
Absolutely. We do.
And it makes yeah, it makes all the sense in the world that
Right.
you would now
Right.
that you mention it.
Right. Because at the end of the day, I mean, you know, I, I hate the fact that fitness is so aesthetically aesthetically driven,
Mhm.
but the reality is that's what it is, right? It
Yeah.
is heavily aesthetically driven. I'm not saying all the time, but it is heavily. And I think people may see a trainer or a coach or an instructor that looks a certain way and they're like, that's how I want to look and that's the person I'm going to follow,
Mhm.
And so we all want to build our following and we all want to build this sort of sub community within the larger community of
Yeah.
the homes that we teach in, right? And so it's hard. I personally I feel pressure to look a certain way and to perform a certain way, and I've been trying to kind of pull that back and just
Mhm.
sort of like remind myself that I am human as well. And I have my moments where I'm performing at my peak, and there are moments where I'm not going to perform at my best. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And I realize that that is a struggle and a constant fight that I share with you. I share with the members all the time.
Right.
And so I think that's why I really push everyone so hard is because I know sometimes I need that push, right? And I know what I'm capable of doing, and sometimes I need that push myself. And so if I see someone doing something that I maybe I didn't even think that they could do, that is like, you know what? If they can do this, I can do this as
Yeah.
well. So,
So what motivates you besides being in that space? Is there anything else that you do?
um, something I mean that motivates me. I just really like to move. I think I'm young and I know I want to have a family in the future, and I really, really want to be able to live on this earth as long as I can.
Yeah.
So for me, it really isn't aesthetically driven, as much as as much as that is sort of like the forefront of it, I
Mhm.
try to remind myself that it's not. I have to push that back, and it really is about health. And this actually came up. It's funny. I was vegan for quite some time,
Oh yeah.
and I found it to be very easy to be vegan because nowadays you have so many alternatives, so
Right.
many substitutes. And when I met with who was now my nutritionist, she told me if you want to be vegan, it's very, very hard. It's not impossible, but it's very hard because the things that you are putting in your body, yes, technically they're vegan, but you have to look at the ingredients.
Mhm.
You have to look at what you're putting in. You're looking at the preservatives, the chemicals, the gums that you're putting into
Yeah.
your body that is it may get you to where you want to be now, but in the long run, it's going to affect you negatively, very, very badly. And that's when I realized I'm like, wow, I did not think to really dive deep into those kinds of things. And I know we all hear it.
Right.
Everybody talks about looking at the nutritional facts and the ingredients and things like that. But I think until someone really looks at you in the face and say what you're putting in your body is harmful and you are not going to be able
Yeah.
to live a long life if you continue to do this, that's when you kind of step back and you're like, wow. So I think, like I said, just being able to be there for my future kids and
Mhm.
being able to last and travel and walk and have my health so that I can live my life exactly what how I want and do
Yeah.
with the things that I want. That's really what motivates me the most.
Yeah.
It really does.
It's when you think about it that way, it's so easy, right? To
Right.
like get yourself in the right headspace because
Yeah.
everybody wants a long life.
Everyone does.
But
Yeah.
we don't, and I don't want to generalize, but at least for the most part, we don't that's usually like somewhere in the back.
Right. Right.
It's
100%.
never in the forefront
Right.
of
Right.
your goals.
Right. Right. The goals are always what? To lose
Yeah,
weight.
I need to lose
I need
weight
to
or
lose
I need
weight.
to get back to this size
Right, exactly. I
or
wanna fit into this pair of pants or,
yeah,
like,
or
I need abs for the summer
oh
or,
my god,
I
that's
want my
me.
arms to be bigger. Yeah, look, look, I'm not gonna lie, like, that's me as well sometimes. But, again, I think it's just we have to constantly remind ourselves that it goes so much farther than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting what you said that your nutritionist told you because so for a while I thought about being vegan too.
Mhm.
And I got that same tidbit of information and I
Right.
was like, because you expect that fact to come from when you're eating badly, but you
Right.
never associate being vegan with eating
Eating badly.
badly.
Yes. Yes.
And I was like, wait a
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah. It's not healthy. I mean,
I
it could
was
be healthy, but it's not like just because you're vegan means everything is healthy.
right.
Right? Because
Yeah.
sugar is vegan. Sugar doesn't come from a animal
Exactly.
product?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, carbs, you can load up on carbs, right? You can have a lot of rice, a lot of potatoes, a
Yeah.
lot of pasta. That's all vegan. Doesn't mean it's necessarily good for you.
Exactly.
So I think that's something to be very mindful if anyone wants to
Right.
try being vegan and just eliminate animal products altogether. You
Yeah.
have to realize that it is very hard, actually.
Yeah. And maybe like you did, talk to a
Oh,
professional that can
100%,
tell you
100%. I
what
can't give
works
any
for
advice.
you.
100%. And that's what
Yeah.
I would always say. I always say, and too, like, nutritionists are expensive, right?
Right.
Everyone has their craft. Everyone knows what they're worth, and it is what it is. It's the price you have to pay. But the way I see it is it's an investment.
Mhm.
You're right. You're going to someone who knows, who studied this in school, right? Who can tell you better than anyone else
Yeah.
can. If you're going to a personal trainer and they're telling you how to eat, they weren't educated in food. And you know,
Right.
these people went to school to be a nutritionist, a dietitian. They know the logistics of the body and how it works. And
Right.
they can cater things to every single person because everyone is different. We all know that already.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, I think, an investment that you have to make and have yet another person on your team
Mhm.
that's going to help you get to where you want to be
That's
for
such
sure.
good advice. Yeah. That's makes so much sense. So we mentioned briefly body positivity.
Mhm.
Can we dive into that for a
Yeah,
little
let's
bit?
do it.
Because
Yeah,
that's,
it's a big topic for sure.
yes. And we usually think that it affects women, but it's across the board.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, and it's funny because I a lot of people don't realize how body positivity or body shaming, it affects men as well.
Yeah.
And trust me, I mean, like, I think just naturally as men, I think we have like that testosterone that we just got to be the biggest in the pack. We've got to lead the pack. And so when here comes another alpha who's bigger and stronger than you, you're like, wait, what? you know, and
Yeah.
and so, when it comes to that, again, it's just learning to not compare yourself to others and not allowing other people to tell you how you should look like. And this is very, very, very big
Mm,
in the gay community. You
mhm.
know, body shaming versus body positivity and just being comfortable in your own skin. Um,
Is it kind of like the same thing? Body shaming and body positivity?
well, I think it all falls within like the same umbrella, right? Like
Okay.
body shaming would be, you know, me highlighting the fact that maybe someone isn't where I personally think they should be, right?
Right.
Because I think ultimately it's funny. I think a lot about certain words that have so many different definitions. Like it's
Mhm.
actually like it does actually doesn't have one concrete definition, right? And so what is the perfect body? I mean, that's different for everyone. Everyone has different things that they like on themselves, that they like, that they're attracted to.
Yeah.
So, it's just something so strange that I think attacking someone's looks, body shaming is just it's very weird to me. I don't understand it. And I've always thought about I always think that if you are body shaming someone, it's because you yourself
Mhm.
have an issue with your own body or the way that you look. You're unhappy with the way that you look.
Right.
That's just how I see it. I think hurt people,
Yes.
right? And so and then at the same time, you have body positivity, right? Where you push for people to be happy in their own skin and not fall under what society defines the
Mhm.
perfect body to be,
Right.
right? Because bodies are beautiful in every way, right? And so, one may think that a size 0 is appealing, right?
Mhm.
And it's a beautiful body, absolutely. But it's it's not more beautiful than a size 6 or size 8 or size 10, right? That's how I see it.
Yeah.
I don't know. And for men, same thing,
Right.
There are men who are very good-looking men, very attractive men who are very thin and very defined, and there are men that are, what we call like the dad bod and like, hey, that's like super attractive as well,
Yeah.
So it's like, listen, like the way I'm like, I'm open to everyone,
Yeah.
I don't discriminate against any type of body, any type of body type. So I don't know. It's weird.
Mhm.
It's such a strange concept. The
Yeah.
idea that like we've gotten to a point where we have to compare ourselves with other people. I just feel like we have so many other things going on in our lives that when it comes down to body shaming or having to really explain the importance of body positivity, I'm like, I can't believe we've gotten to a point where we have to explain this to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Like really? I mean, like, I really have to talk through this with people that, like, you should be nice to everyone and you
Yes.
should promote everyone to be happy in the way that they look and comfortable in their own skin. Uh, but that's the world we live in right now. So hopefully we can make improvements in that.
Do you, being in the fitness industry, have you noticed body positivity having a negative effect on people?
I don't I don't think not me per se,
Mhm.
and I think it's only because 'cause I'm just very new to the fitness industry. I haven't been in here a long time,
Right.
and I also have not been able to make, like, really deep connections with people. Certain people, yes, right? But the majority, the relationships that we have are, like, very surface level, right?
Yeah.
"Hey, how are you? Great to see you back," things like that. But, I don't know people deep
I
to
see.
know,
Yeah.
if body positivity is having a positive or negative effect on their life, or if they're being body shamed in any way, or if maybe they feel in, somehow, some way uncomfortable in
Mhm.
this environment, right? It's hard. It's hard to my hope is to eventually get to a point where I really know people on that deeper level, and that just comes with time.
Right.
But in the very few people that I do know, deeply and personally, I haven't really found that to be an issue. Um, I I also think it's the people you attract, right?
Yeah.
So I think I have a good way of attracting people who are very positive, very
Mhm.
happy with their lives and where they are in every aspect, not just body wise, like just in every aspect.
Yeah.
They're either happily in a relationship, happily married, or happily single. We're going out, we're having fun. They're just really enjoying life. And so thankfully in my immediate circle that hasn't had really that much of an effect, but I know it's there.
Yeah.
We all know it's there.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's just really getting to a point where I can be exposed to that. And then at that point it's really just figuring out how to handle that.
right.
So,
That's good to hear
yeah.
because I mean, obviously I'm not in the fitness industry, so I wouldn't be exposed, but like sometimes you see in like on the news or
Right. Right.
social
Social
media
media is
how
huge.
certain people who may it could be claimed that they should lead a healthier path don't because they love themselves the way they are and things like that. So that's why I
Yeah.
asked you that question if
Yeah.
because that's on social media. So I'm wondering in real life, does that really happen?
You mean you mean people who say that, let's just say someone who may be overweight
Right.
is not healthy, but with the whole body
Yeah, like
positivity.
it's
Right.
okay or
Right. It's
whatever the
okay.
word is, because they love themselves, which I think you should always love yourself at
Right.
whatever state you're at,
Right.
just because it's the healthy thing to do.
Correct.
But at the same time, should that stop you from striving my voice, from striving to be healthier?
Right. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and it's funny because I think about this a lot as well. I think
Yeah,
about,
like how do you balance
yeah,
those
how do
2,
you
you
balance
know?
that, right? Like, of course,
Like
you
I
should be
always
happy.
wonder.
Well, I think everyone, regardless of your size, should really be striving to live a healthier lifestyle,
Yeah.
right? And that just comes with eating healthier, natural products, moving your body, right? Doesn't mean that you have to be going very, very hard on a 1 hour workout, going to Orange Theory, going to Soul Cycle, going to CrossFit, but whatever.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's that's just moving your body, taking a walk around your neighborhood for an hour a day, right? Enjoying the outside, going to the beach, getting sun, right? Like breathing in the fresh air, right? Just moving your body. I think that's really important. Um, I I I know that there is a correlation between weight and effects on your joints and things that may develop like down the road,
Mhm.
cardiovascular. And so the way that I see it is, you everyone's goal should be to live as long as they can, right? And if you are big boned and you're curvy and you're healthy, like from your doctor,
Right.
you are healthy, love it, great. um, if you are overweight, right? If you are unhealthy, if you have gone to a medical professional and they have said you need to start moving or you need to start eating healthier,
Mhm.
we don't want you to change because of the way that you look. We want you to change because we want you to live longer.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's where I think we need to make sure that that
That should
messaging
be
is
the
delivered.
defining factor.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I think maybe that isn't delivered in that way.
Mhm.
A lot of times I think, the delivery part of things is very,
Yes.
very important. And I think
Yeah.
certain people really just don't know how to deliver a message, right? And it's not just saying, listen, you don't look a certain way, you've got to lose weight.
Right.
No, it's because we want you to live longer. And so, like I said, as long as however you look, as long as you're healthy, hey,
Yeah.
that's great for you. I'm super happy. That's what I want. I want everyone to like feel comfortable in their skin because it really is like, and I've gone through my moments too, right? I've gone through moments where I was uncomfortable in my skin. I did not
Mhm.
like the way I looked and I was unmotivated. And then there were moments that I felt great and I thought I was on top of the world and I was so confident in myself and the way I looked. And it really does filter into other avenues in your life that you would never think it would. But I I know how important it is to feel comfortable in your own skin. And so that's the feeling that I think everyone, and I think once you get there, you realize how important that is.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're with yourself all day,
Yes.
you
Yes.
want to
Yes.
make sure that
That you're happy
that
with
you
yourself.
yeah, you
Yeah.
like yourself.
And it's so funny too, because that goes like so far beyond body image, right?
Yeah.
Like it's so funny. Take travel by yourself, right? Like
Mhm.
learn to be with yourself and learn to
Yes.
connect to other things outside of another person and technology, right? Like learn to
That's such
connect
a
to your
big one.
space.
Yeah.
And I I remember when I moved out on my own for the very first time and I was single for 2 years. I did not have anyone in my life. I lived on my own. It was very uncomfortable for me because I was always
Mhm.
so surrounded with people and with family. And I mean, I didn't go away to college because I didn't want to be away from my family. So that's,
Right.
that goes like to the extent, shows you the extent of how attached I was to family. Um, and so for me, it was definitely a learning process on how to be okay with being alone and being with yourself and
Right.
learning to love
Because
yourself.
there's a difference between being alone and being lonely.
Correct.
It's a huge
Correct.
difference. Yeah.
And
And
it's
it's okay to be alone. You don't have to be
100%.
lonely,
Right. You can be alone and not be lonely.
but you need to be alone.
Yes, you need to, and I think
Yeah.
I think that's so important for everyone. I
Yeah.
think that's so important for everyone to feel like they're strong enough to be by themselves.
Yes.
And I learned so much about myself and really about life in general being by myself. And it was funny because I got to a point where I looked forward to my Friday nights because I can go home. I don't have to talk
You
to
don't have to say
anyone.
yes.
I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm
Yeah.
putting my phone. I would text my mom, my dad. I would just say, I am home. I am safe. I'm locking the door and I am not answering my phone. So
Bye.
do not text me. Do not call me, but I'm letting you
Yeah.
know so you don't worry.
Yeah.
And I would just turn on my television and I would cook myself a meal and I would just sit on my sofa so unbelievably happy and just thought to myself, this is the life. I mean,
Yeah.
this is what real
The little
happiness is.
things. The little things, for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm such a reality TV junkie. So it's like you turn on the TV and I am
What's your
there.
favorite?
Oh, Housewives, 100%.
Which one?
Oh my gosh, it's hard to pick. It's so hard to
Oh my
pick. I have fallen. The only season that I have not watched, or the only franchise I haven't watched is Dallas.
I haven't either.
I have watched every other
That
one.
and what is it? Salt Lake? Is
Oh,
that
Salt Lake City. Okay,
I haven't seen that.
so Salt Lake City, I wasn't the biggest fan of the first season. I thought they were almost like trying too hard. It almost seemed
Mhm.
very fake and very staged. I mean, we all know it's like staged to a point,
Yeah, but
but it just seemed
still.
like overly staged at that. And
Yeah.
I was like not catching on. But then the whole situation with Jen Shaw and the arrest and the
I saw a documentary yesterday.
yes, yes, yes. And I
It
was like, oh,
popped up on my Hulu.
and you were like, I'm
And
watching
I'm
it.
like, what is that?
Yes,
So I
yes.
turn it on, and then my husband comes in the bedroom. He's like,
What
"What
are
are
you
you
watching?
watching? What is that?" I go, "Someone got in trouble. I gotta find out
Yeah,
what."
yeah. Be quiet. I'm really trying to focus on what
Leave
they're
me
saying.
alone.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when that came out, I was like, oh, now I have to go back. So I went back and watched season 1. Season 2 is now
Okay.
playing there. Like it's going on right
So I'm
now.
gonna have to watch it
You
because
have
I
to watch it.
haven't
I
seen
recommend
it.
it. I recommend it.
haven't
It's
seen it.
really good. It's
And
really good.
I don't know if I would pick like a favorite.
Yeah, it's
It's
hard.
like one of those things where I'm like, do I really want to know people that I like
Yeah.
this stuff?
Yeah, I
But
know. I don't care.
it's it's like
A lot of people judge me for it, and I'm like, I don't care.
well, I
I
don't,
enjoy it.
yeah, I shouldn't care either.
Yeah,
I
like
really
you're
don't.
not sitting at home with me watching TV. What do you care what I watch?
Yeah, I just whatever. But yeah, sometimes it's just like, oh my god, like these grown ass women that are just tearing themselves to pieces, and I'm
But
here for
listen,
it. I'm watching.
Bravo can come to me and send a contract like we want to film you and we're not gonna pay you anything. I'm like, where do I sign? Where do I
Yes,
sign?
it is
Because
so
I am fine.
fun.
I know.
So the Beverly Hills ones, I'm like,
That's insane.
I can't stop
I
watching.
know.
There's so many things happening.
Such a good season.
People are going to jail.
I
Like,
know.
not that that's
Not
not
that that's a good thing. Well, you know what?
I'm
It is.
not
I mean, it is good if you were doing illegal things and
right.
ripping
I'm
people
just
off.
saying,
I'm
like,
glad you're going to jail.
right. Yes.
But yes, but
thank
I mean,
you for helping me out with that.
yeah. But I mean, ultimately, if you're innocent, of course, we don't want you to go to jail.
Yeah,
But
right.
we're still figuring out whether
we're
she's truly
gonna
innocent
see
or
what
not.
happens.
Yeah.
But it's like a train wreck, and you just gotta see it.
know.
I gotta know where it's going.
I know. It's like you can't take your eyes off.
I
It's
know.
good. I don't know what it is. It's got a pull on you, but
And then the New Jersey ones I liked for a while, but then I just feel like it's the same thing over and over and over.
It seems like it's a little repetitive.
So I'm like, I need a break.
Although I've met Teresa Giudice
You did?
many times. Yes.
How was that?
She's actually so sweet in person.
Oh, I love to know that.
You know, it's so funny. I always think to myself, celebrities, right? We all have our favorite celebrities, whether they're reality or whether they're, TV shows or film, whatever it may
that
be.
one person that kind of
that you just idolize and you admire and you're like, oh my gosh, I wish what I would do to meet them in person, right? And then you meet them in person and they're horrific. It just changes the way you look on everything. And it's so sad, right?
Yeah.
And so my fear always going into meeting a housewife is that they're completely different than what I thought they were going to be. And she is one of those that she will stop and talk to you.
That's so nice.
And yeah,
I want to meet her now.
She is so sweet. She will take a photo with you without issues. She will sign a book, a poster, whatever it may be. I mean, she was seriously so nice. And it's funny because I had two friends of mine that went to an event that she was at, and I happened to be traveling that weekend and I was so upset. So they went to the event. She was kind of, making her rounds. And my friends were like, listen, we have a friend that's a huge fan. Like, do you mind if we FaceTime him? And she was like, absolutely. So she FaceTimed me and she was like, saying hi to me and like all, I was like, that's just so sweet of you to like, it's such a small gesture that goes such a long way for someone that's like, I feel like I'm a part of her family because I've watched everything that's happened over the last 10 years. So
and she's really been through it.
Yeah, she has been through a lot.
She's one tough lady.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, she is the real deal.
She's impressive.
Yeah. I've met a couple of them as well. Teresa, I met Luann from New York.
Okay, yeah.
So she's very sweet. She's very, very sweet as well. She's beautiful in person.
I'm sure.
I've met Ramona from New York. She is horrific.
Oh.
Ramona Singer.
Is it true that her eyes go kind of like crazy?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what it is. She is the rudest person in the world. Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to meet her.
So anyone who is like wanting to meet her,
don't.
I am gonna bring I'm gonna bring you back down from the clouds and say she is extremely rude. She will not take a photo with you. She will not do anything with you. She just shoos you off like you're nothing.
Oh,
yes.
no.
I mean, but we know this, right? Because everyone says it. Even other housewives have said how, like from other cities, from other franchises, said that she's so rude.
That's
so
true.
it's like I should have known going into it, right? But it was
Yeah.
like I was like at a VIP event where like she was supposed to go and she was supposed to like
that's her
mingle
job.
and like it's like you're getting paid for this, and she was so rude. I'm like,
can you imagine having a job where you get to like hang out with people and have a good time
and you don't even want to do that and you don't even want to do that.
I would be like, I'm going to work every single day.
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
It's insane.
And she wouldn't even do that.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
It is. But you know what? My expectation wasn't high for her, so I didn't fall too far. So, I mean, whatever. We move on.
So cool.
But I met Nene Leakes as well. I saw her on Broadway. Nene Leakes.
Nice.
Yeah, from Atlanta. She's amazing as well. I've met like quite a few, and they're all really, really nice people. Like,
That's so
really,
cool. Have
really
you ever
nice.
met any of the Miami ladies?
Yes. So I met Alexia Echeverria. She was okay. Like she wasn't rude or anything. She was just
hit
very
my car once.
Really?
And I only know it was her because of like the hair.
Yeah. The Cuban Barbie is what she calls herself. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, she wasn't super talkative, but she wasn't, she was super nice. She's like, "Hi, how are you?" She took a photo.
Right.
Great, like, whatever. I mean, you're at an event.
Yeah.
It's like the least you can do. So she's, great. I also met Marisol Patton.
Mhm.
I met her at the same event.
I want to go to
And
these events.
yeah, well, we'll go together for sure.
I
Well,
wanna
it was actually, so it's
yeah.
funny.
We
I
can
met
go
them.
meet them together.
I met them when I went to Luann's cabaret show. Because she brought it to
Oh,
Miami.
that's
She brought it to
cool.
the Miami Beach. So all the Miami girls went. And at the time, in the kind of the section that I was in, that's where I met Alexia and Marisol. Marisol was, again, very sweet. Took a
Yeah.
photo.
She looks very
smiled.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's very nice.
She looks like she could be your friend.
Yes,
in real life.
100%. 100%. Outside of that, I have not met anyone else from Miami, but I'm looking forward to the new season, which I think drops tomorrow.
I think so. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
I'm excited because
Yeah.
it's been so many years. I'm like, I want to know
It's
what's been going on.
insane,
What have
right?
you guys been doing?
Yeah. And like Larsa's coming back from like season 1, which I'm like not happy.
Oh my
But like I love that Adriana. Have you seen the preview?
I saw, I caught like a glimpse of it. I haven't seen the whole thing.
Okay, well you have to watch it because Adriana talked like she's like, "You're trying to be the new Kim Kardashian and you're not."
That's the part I saw.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love her
She
so
called
much
her
more
like a
for it."
washed out
Yeah,
Kardashian. or something like
yes.
that. I was like, what is happening?
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I know. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
Right? Like the lives they lead and how
I
they just
know.
put it all out there.
I
I don't
know.
know if I could do that.
I don't know. I feel like I could.
You
I feel like I could. Yeah. Yeah. I have nothing to hide.
No,
I'm very-
neither do I.
No. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
No,
that. It's
no,
just like
right.
for me, it's just like I don't mind putting myself out there. A lot. That's not everyone's lifestyle. Like
Yeah.
everyone's lifestyle is not to like.
Would you
'cause
say you're extroverted?
I would think so. I think
Yeah.
other people would say that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to be very introverted in high school, and I think I like blossomed in college, and now I'm like
That's interesting because they say that people don't really like change.
all that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to be very to myself.
I'm definitely introverted. But
Really?
people would never believe
I was
it.
gonna say I don't believe
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, people
I don't
would
believe that
never
at
believe
all.
it. I'm just like a people person.
Yeah.
But like I need to be alone. Like
Yeah,
I need my
yeah.
own time.
Yeah.
Like I love people, but then I gotta go and like
Yeah.
hang out with myself.
Yeah. I get that.
I like me most of all.
Yeah.
No, that sounds bad.
No,
like a narcissist.
From Salt Lake City. There's like one housewife that has like her tagline, and her tagline's like, "You don't have to love me, I love myself for the both of us." I was like, I'm so taking that.
I love it. So we could definitely have our own, like, we could be added to the cast, Bravo,
I'm up for it.
or another network. Who cares?
It doesn't matter. I'll
That'd
go on
be
E.
fun.
I'll go on
Yeah, that would be
TLC.
fun.
TLC has 90 Day Fiance. That's like a huge thing. So I don't mind any network. I'm okay.
Yeah,
Any network, I'll take it.
right. That would be fun. I can't imagine. Can you imagine? Oh my God.
Yeah.
How did we go down there?
I know this
I
is like
love
such a rabbit hole.
I'm looking at
I
my
don't-
notes like I don't.
And
have
I'm like, this
anything.
is nothing. This is not, and we spend all of our time on this. What? Just talking about housewives, which is really where I excel. You think I'm a good fitness instructor? No, girl. I am a good reality TV person. I know everything
it.
about everything. I love it. So, anyway, but
Right.
we can put
I
this like
would have
we
never
can push this
guessed.
towards the end of the
Yeah.
episode.
We'll edit this.
Yeah. This one goes to the end so that we can talk about like the real stuff in the
Yeah.
beginning, because people are gonna be like, okay, I did not sign up for this.
Yes. Oh my God. But I never thought we would have had that in common. That's so
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
That's so-
I am huge.
Is your partner into it too?
He was never into it until I got him into it. So I got him into it.
So
and
you
now
succeeded.
I
Because
succeeded.
my husband, every time he sees me watching, he's like, he backs away slowly.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. He's like, I'm not getting wrapped up in that.
I don't want
No.
any part of it. Like, go enjoy. I'll be over
Yep,
here.
yep. No, I got him into it, and I'm so happy because now we watch it together, and now we look
Yeah.
forward to it. And like, for example, OC just started up last week.
I saw the first episode.
So yeah, and the second one airs tonight.
Okay.
So
I'm
we're gonna
like,
watch it tonight. We're gonna text each other
cannot
tonight.
wait to
What happens?
number
What
two.
happens?
How she
I-
goes, everybody get out of my house.
Yes, I know. I love it. And she's like, we're done. We're filming. We're done filming. Oh my gosh, I
And
can't
there's
wait
something
for it.
about her voice. Like when she speaks,
Oh
it
yeah,
sounds
it's like
so
I'm scared.
authoritarian.
I'm
Like I would be
scared. Yeah,
like,
reminds me of my mom.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes.
It's like like the tone that your mom puts in, and you're like, okay,
Yes.
she is not
And her
kidding right now.
eyes, The
Mhm.
looks that she
Mhm.
gives, I would.
Yep.
Oh, ooh,
Yep.
no,
Oh,
I would
yeah.
be like, okay, yeah, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I will happily escort myself out. Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I'm excited. So anyway, so yeah, I got him into it. He loves Atlanta. He loves Atlanta. He loves he liked previous season of New York. This last season was horrible. I did not like this
I
last season at
haven't
all.
watched the last season.
Yeah, it just
I didn't watch
wasn't
the last season of New York or Beverly Hills.
okay. Oh,
'Cause
he loves Beverly Hills as well. We watched Beverly Hills.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I l
he loves Beverly Hills as well.
I don't know why I didn't watch the last season though. What I don't
From
know
New
what
York?
happened. No, from Beverly Hills. I don't
Oh,
know what happened. I don't know.
well,
Sometimes like it
it's done,
started
so
to
you can watch it from
feel
beginning to end.
yeah, I gotta catch up.
It's really good this season, I will say.
Okay.
I would recommend it
Okay, then I
100%.
will I will go and
Especially if
watch it.
like if you've kept up, if you normally watch
Because I
Beverly
think the
Hills, go
one
for it.
before that was that the one with Denise Richards, right?
Yes, yes, it
That
got
one
very
was a little
nasty.
like, oh,
It got
I'm like
very
I can't
nasty.
believe like again, and it felt like the same thing over and over
Yeah,
and over.
yeah, yeah.
So I was
And
a
they just
little
kept like harping
exhausted.
about like this like sexual relationship between like these
Yeah,
two. It's like, what do you care?
I
Why do
know.
you care? And
It's like mind
that's
your own
like,
business.
yes, mind your own business. Like, why? Okay, so what? They may or may not had sexual relations. If they did, if they didn't, what do you care? How does that affect
I
you?
know.
It's
I know.
insane. It's
It
insane.
got tiring.
People think that everything is everyone's business, and it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's
anyway,
true. It's
anyway,
true. Okay, well, talking about sexuality,
let's
let's
jump into it.
let's jump right
Let's jump right
in.
into it.
Um, so in regards to sexuality, we've seen through celebrities. So
Hmm.
let's take Shawn Mendes,
Yeah,
which you so eloquently talked about
yeah,
on your live, as an example, because of the memes that claim that he's gay, even though he's explicitly said that he isn't.
right,
But
right,
there's this pressure for him to say it.
right. I just yeah, that's just one of the things, and it's funny because actually a friend of mine who thinks the same that I as I do sent me a video of Wendy Williams like on her show continuously like pushing
I
that
had to
agenda.
stop watching her.
She's horrible. She's like one
I
person I can't stand her at all. She's like
Yeah.
she's stupid, honestly. I think she's just a stupid individual, but that's besides the point. But anyway, it just yeah, so with the whole situation with Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello, I mean, we've all heard rumors about the two of them, they're just sort of in a relationship because, in the music industry, he would have been found more attractive or would have had like a I guess a more of a following if he's straight, right? And so he has like all this attention from all the girls and they're just, I I don't know. I guess the rumors were that they had this agenda and it was on
Mhm.
purpose and they were not really in a relationship. And now that they broke up, now everyone is rushing and saying, "Oh, this is it. This is it. This is he is coming out," right? And it really upsets me because and like you said, he's already stated that he is not gay.
Mhm.
He is not gay. And he has even said in a lot of these interviews that he's had that he's struggled with people trying to label him as one thing or another for his entire life. And he's even noticed that he has changed the way that he has spoken. He's tried to change the pitch of his voice. And
Oh,
for an artist, a singer,
that's
to do that
yeah.
is hard.
That's his
That's
talent.
his talent, and
Yeah.
and he's talented, and he has such a beautiful craft,
Yes.
and for him to feel the need to change that just to try to prove himself to other people is ridiculous to me. And the issue that I have, which I discussed on Instagram Live, is that society feels as if, and again, not to generalize, but for the most part, and I'm talking specifically when it comes to this type of situation
Mhm.
where there are so many people coming in, making memes, making comments, speaking on this, they feel as if they have the power to put you in a box, right? And for whatever reason, he can say that he's straight, but it's not good enough, right? Because of what? Because of the way that he dresses? Is it because of the way that he sings? Is it because of the way that he acts, that he walks, that he sits, that he eats? What is it about him
Right.
that defines him as gay in your eyes? Because the last time that I checked, what defined you as gay was a male being attracted to another male,
Mhm.
not in the way that you walked, not in the
Right.
way that you spoke, not in the way that you sang. So now it's, people saying, well, this is my definition of a straight guy and he doesn't fit into that. So he must be gay. And it's upsetting, right? I went through the same thing when I was younger. And in high school, I was constantly questioned. And to be quite frank, at the time, I didn't even know what I was. It's
Right.
funny because someone asked me this the other day. We kind of got into a conversation about it, and I don't even remember thinking about sex at all throughout high school. Like it it was just something that wasn't a priority
Mhm.
to me. And it's not that I was confused and I was trying to figure it out. It's just that it really wasn't even I wasn't even trying to figure it out. I didn't care to know
Right.
what I was, right? Eventually I grew out of that, and then I questioned it myself, and I really went through a time and a process of really trying to figure out what it was that I was attracted to and what what my sexual identity was. And the constant chatter of what other people think of me really affects that process. Really affected that process for me, as I know it does for many people. It affects the process. And there is just such a lack of respect for the LGBTQ community when they go through this process. It's almost like a time where like they need a little bit of privacy, and
Mhm.
we need to stop pushing the agendas and stop talking about it and let them discover themselves
Right.
for who they are. It's I mean, as you can imagine, it's a very confusing time to not know, and to I mean, learning about sex is complicated in itself.
Yeah, I mean, it's
It's
traumatizing,
yeah,
right?
it's
Like, the
traumatizing,
first time you find
absolutely.
out that your parents had sex so that
Right,
you
it's
could
like,
be here, you're like
what? Yeah, and then you start to learn about it yourself, and, like, there are things that you don't understand, and then on top of that, now you're trying to figure out whether you're attracted to male or female
yeah,
or non-binary or, there's so many other things that, like so, yeah, this whole thing about sexuality is I don't understand why it's such a hot topic for people who are not even in it. It's, such a hot topic for people who want other people to define themselves.
yeah,
Why? Why is it again, why is it of importance to you who I am attracted to?
right,
And why do you need me to give you a clear and definitive answer as to what I am?
yeah.
It's strange to me.
It just I agree with that because it's such a personal thing,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
what gives you the right to infringe is someone's privacy like that,
Absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the way that they lead their romantic life. I don't understand. I really don't.
Right. Well, neither do I. And that's sort of like I would love to know. I would
Yeah.
love to know why people feel the need and the right to do that because I still don't understand why.
Right. And I
You
feel like it feels
know,
like we've made such stride
we
when it
have.
comes, to as a society.
We have. We still have so much to go. But
Why hasn't that, which is so simple,
right,
why hasn't that happened?
it hasn't kept up with everything else.
You know,
Yeah,
like
it's strange to me. Yeah,
so just let people be who they are. And
absolutely,
right,
absolutely. And we don't need to lead with sexuality. We don't need to lead with like having a defined answer as to
right.
what we are, who we are, what we like. You know, just let everybody be. You know,
Yeah.
get to know people for what they do. What they enjoy.
Yeah.
Not who they do.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's so interesting that you brought up, identity because in my immediate circle, I the people I'm around don't go, "Hey, my name is so and so and I'm gay or I'm this or I'm that." It's just this is who I am and
Right, right,
it's a part of who they are. It's not all of who they are.
right,
But when
exactly.
you look at social media or, TV shows or movies, it's I'm this person and this is all that we should care about. It feels
Right,
like.
right. Yeah, it seems as if and I've gotten a little bit of this as well, where I feel like people nowadays, I think they lead with their sexuality a lot more. And I don't get it either because I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't introduce myself as, "Hey, I'm Brian, I'm gay."
Right.
What what does that have to do with
There
anything?
I
Like,
know.
no, I'm Brian, I'm a fitness instructor, that's what I do for a living. I
Yeah.
have a fiance, I live in Miami, like, those
Right.
are just
There's
natural
so many
things.
things
There's so
that
many other
make up
things.
who you are.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And, you know, I I don't know. I don't understand why people feel the need to lead with their sexual identity, and I think that may come from the pressure that everybody puts on
Hmm.
people to come out and to define what it is. And like, we need an answer. Like, we need to know, right? Going back to Shawn Mendes, like, you need to come out already. It's like, he's not gay. Like, what do you want him to say? He's not gay. Like,
Yeah.
why are you, what is it that you want him to say? You want him to say that he's something he's not,
Hmm.
you know? And you know what? Even if he is gay, even if he wasn't ready to come out.
He doesn't want to share
He
it,
doesn't want to share it with you.
and he doesn't have to.
Exactly. He doesn't have
Why
to.
does he have to?
Right.
Yeah.
100%. Why does he have to share that with you? And if that happens, right? If that happens where he does come out, again, I'm not saying he is, right? I believe him when he says he's straight, but let's just say if he were to come out, everyone's going to be like, "Well, I knew it and I don't know why he didn't come out earlier." He wasn't ready. It's that simple. He
Yeah.
wasn't ready.
Yeah. Do you think that idea or that outlook is detrimental to people or to the community?
In what sense? Like, what outlook?
Like the leading with your sexuality, or having to label yourself too
I think it is.
publicly to the world?
I think it is detrimental. I think it is
Yeah.
because it puts such an emphasis on who you are attracted to when I think it really shouldn't be of importance. You
Right.
know? So I think the more and more and more we glamorize the idea of leading with our sexual identity, it sort of forces those who have not yet identified feel like they're missing out, right? And so if we all start leading with our sexual identity, and there are many of us who have not yet figured that out, what are we supposed to say,
That's a big question.
right?
Yeah.
So why should that even be on the table? I,
Right.
you know, I'm, it's, I don't know. I just find it to be something that is should be kind of left untouched, right? And it's not, and it doesn't come. It's not like a coming from a place of like being ashamed or I'm very open. I mean, if you
Mhm.
ask me specifically, hey, like, are you gay? Like,
Yeah.
let's say, like, yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Why you would ask me that, I have no idea. Whatever. But I mean, I think it's more appropriate to say like, oh, so like, are you married? Are you have
Mhm.
a are you in a relationship? And that'll naturally come out, right?
Right.
But I mean, I would ask that of anyone. I mean,
Yeah.
it. I wouldn't ask that like, I don't know. I wouldn't ask that of you. I'm like, hey, Jenny, are you straight? Are you gay? Like, I
Yeah.
just wouldn't lead with that. Like,
Right. I've never asked anyone that question either.
right.
And I'm nosy, but I've never asked.
Well, because you know what to be nosy about, right? There are certain
Yeah.
things to be nosy about, and then there's certain things that
Right.
are just, it's just a boundary that you know that you can't
Right.
cross. And obviously, like, you've mastered that skill. Many people have not mastered that skill.
I just feel like, and again, I'm, a straight woman, so
Right.
I don't know like how much of a valid opinion I can have, but I just feel like your sexuality is, again, not from a place of shame, but it's something that you should hold so dear to you. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Well, there's
it's
not, I
such
mean,
a
you can't speak from that because you do have a sexual identity.
well, yeah,
So
I
you
do.
you can speak from that, from experience. And that's like one thing
Right.
that I think a lot of people don't realize. It's like sexual identity doesn't refer to LGBTQ. It refers to everyone. Everyone has a sexual
That's
identity,
true.
so everyone can talk to this, right?
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
So everyone has their experience and everyone has like
Right.
their style on how they want to introduce themselves and what they
Yeah.
want to disclose and what they don't want to disclose. It's no different than I know plenty of straight men and women who don't talk about their personal lives at work. Let's just
Mhm.
say, for example, right? Because it's just not the place to do it. Like, yes, I'm married to my wife, my husband, whatever it may be, but like you don't hear about it because it's
Yeah.
private. Because some
Right.
people choose to keep that part private. It's not that they're hiding it. They have nothing to hide.
Yeah.
It's just that's just not something that's on the table.
Yeah.
And we have to respect that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess, what you said about shame or feel like you're hiding it, it does make sense.
Right.
And I could see why people would take it that way.
Right.
But at the
Definitely.
same time, it I don't know. To me it's just it's a part of who I am. It's not everything that I am.
Right.
So it shouldn't be up
Right.
for discussion. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it's
Right.
not like, hey, let's talk about the weather
Right.
and what you did last night.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
what? No,
No.
that's none of
No.
your business.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
um it's definitely interesting and a shame that even though we've made such strides, that part still
Yeah.
it's still coming
It
up.
is. And it's it's crazy because although, yes, we have made, I mean, such strides, we've come so far from where we were. We have so much work to do still. There is still so much homophobia in the world. It's
Yeah.
unreal. Um, Peter is a singer in Puerto Rico, and uh, one of the news outlets published an article on our engagement in Puerto Rico, and it was seen everywhere. And his family saw it, all of his friends, everybody was sending us the article, and that's how we found out about it. And if you go to the webpage of this news article, you will see all of the comments that are just ripping us apart.
No.
Yes, and I mean, the things that they are saying are horrific.
I'm so
And
sorry to
it, no,
hear
and
that.
it's yeah, it's not anything. It doesn't honestly, it doesn't phase me honestly
Mhm.
because I quite frankly don't care. Like I don't
Yeah.
care what you think of me, right? Those people, I don't even know them. So the way I say it,
Right.
like, you are insignificant to me. I don't care what you think about me. I'm living my life. I am so happy in my life. And but but it goes to show that homophobia is still very real in this world. And it's still not accepted in many, many, many places. And it's funny because I actually, and I know that I am blessed and I am lucky, but have not I have not felt the effects of homophobia directly all that much in my life. And I actually just recently experienced that when we were looking for a home. Our lease was coming up.
In Miami?
Yes, in Miami. And I
Whoa.
reached out to a house that was put up for rent. We fell in love with it. We loved the neighborhood. I reached out to the individual, the owner of the house. We had this super long conversation. He had just posted it and he was telling me everything about the house and how he lived there and he recently got married and so he was putting his house for rent, like sort of his
Mhm.
bachelor pad and things like
Mhm.
that. Great conversation, right? We connected on the fitness level and I told him I was a fitness trainer and all of this stuff. And we had scheduled a time to meet, a day and a time to meet so we can go see the house. We disconnected, everything went great. The next day I confirmed with him. I said, "Hey, I want to make sure that we're still on for whatever it was, 2 p.m. today or whatever." And he said, "Yes, absolutely." And he goes, "I forgot to ask you, are you coming alone or are you coming with individuals?" And I said, "No, I'm actually coming with my boyfriend and I would like to bring our dog." And he didn't respond.
My
And
palms are
I
sweating
know,
for you.
I know. He didn't respond. And so I went to work. I left work and it was right around the time where we were supposed to see the house. And I texted him again and um, I said, "Hey, just want to confirm. I never got a confirmation from you. Like, are we still meeting?" He goes, "No, sorry. The house is no longer available." And I said, "Okay, well, it wasn't meant to be."
Yeah.
You
I
know?
was gonna say, I'm sorry to hear that, but if it's under those circumstances, you don't want to be around people
Oh,
like that. Like he
absolutely
can
not.
keep his
It was
house.
it was upsetting, but such a blessing. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't you're right. I don't need to deal with that. Absolutely
No.
not.
No.
And everything works out the way it needs
Yeah.
to. Everything works out, and that's, like, one of my biggest beliefs is that everyone is where they need to be at that moment, whether
Mhm.
it makes sense or not, you
Yeah.
are where you need to be at that
I
moment.
always say that you'll understand later.
Yes,
Not
yes.
now,
Not now. You
but
never
later
understand it in the
you
moment.
will understand.
Absolutely. You will look
Yeah.
back one day and you will realize, "I know exactly why that had to happen to me."
Yeah.
100%. And so we love our home now.
Mhm.
We got along great with the owners. They loved us. We have such a great relationship. We follow each other on Instagram. We comment on each other's things. It's great. And they're so happy with us and the way that we take care of the house. And so I could not ask for a better landlord. I mean, they really are the
Yeah.
absolute best. So I mean, I digress, but nonetheless, everything works out the way it needs to be. But that goes to show you, even in Miami, which is you would think is very open and
Mhm.
very accepting, and
Yeah.
it is in certain avenues, there is still those pockets that you aren't accepted. And you know, that's something that I think a lot of people don't realize that like we have to think about, right? When we think about Peter and I moving in, like we have to think about like, are our neighbors gonna be okay with this?
Right.
Are our neighbors gonna trash our cars in the middle of the night because they don't support the LGBTQ community. Those are things that we think about,
Yeah.
and
And it shouldn't be anywhere near your,
right, like it's
you should be thinking
sad.
about like how
It's
we're gonna
sad.
decorate
Right. Like
and
like I mean, I I want to say 99.9% of people are never straight people are never going to go to a neighborhood and think to themselves, I wonder if our neighbors are going to have an issue that we're straight.
yeah, it's true.
You don't ever have to think about that.
No. Yeah.
So, it's a scary thought, right? It's a scary
It
thought to
is.
think, is everything going to be okay, right? Are we going to run into issues down the road with with this because just someone doesn't want to accept it or, doesn't see us as equal, which
Yeah.
we are, but
Yeah.
they don't see it that way. So it's unfortunate. But like I said, I mean, it's just in time, hopefully as generations
hmm
grow and it becomes just part of a culture of accepting everyone
Right.
for who they are, hopefully
And minding your
those
own
will
business.
phase out. Yeah, mind your own
Mind
business,
your own
people. Mind
business.
your own business.
Drink your water.
Right,
Go to the
right.
gym. And mind
Exactly.
your own
I
business.
guarantee you there is something going on in your house that you can focus your attention on. Don't
Yeah.
focus it on my house,
Right.
But
Yeah.
I do have faith that those types of people will eventually phase out. Because
Yeah.
like I said, obviously those people
Right.
are reproducing.
Yeah.
And then those people are raised in a world that's a little more loving, a little more
Yeah.
accepting, right? Of the LGBTQ community. That's my hope. That's what I
Right.
hope. And so, like I said, hopefully, I hope one day we get to a point where homophobia is really phased out, and it just
Yeah.
doesn't even. It's not even a thing. It's not even a topic, right?
Right.
Like heterosexuality is not a topic.
I was gonna say, I think of a, of a time, like I'm idealistic, but of a time where like people would just, again, hey, my name's Jenny and whatever, I'm a teacher or whatever
Right,
the heck I am.
right, right,
And we don't have to include that last part.
right.
You know
I
what I
agree.
mean?
I agree. I don't, like I said, I don't introduce
You
myself
don't
that
do
way.
it.
I don't do it.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
it's
shouldn't be a thing.
right. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think once we get there, it would be a huge progress.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
I'm so sad to hear about that
Oh,
though.
it's okay. It's okay. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
it is sad. It's sad to think about that
yeah,
that still exists in the world. But like I said, I mean, everything it's worked out. We are
right.
so happy the way that we are, and actually, that house was so much farther than where we were now. So
Yeah.
right now, we live 3 doors down from my dad,
Oh my
which is
god.
like so convenient. We live 2 miles away from my mom,
You guys are
so we're
neighbors.
neighbors. I'm neighbors with my mom and my dad.
Yeah.
It's like it's
It's
worked out great, and
perfect.
we've made friends in the neighborhood, and
It's
everything is
perfect.
like I said, life is
Yeah.
beautiful. So
It,
it
it
all
maybe was the universe way of saying not here.
not here,
No.
not this area. Yeah,
No,
for
go.
sure, for
There's
sure.
something better.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah,
That's so cool.
yeah,
That's so
yeah, yeah.
cool.
So
That's awesome. Um Staying on like the serious side of our topic.
yeah, absolutely.
Um So, why do you think, and I think we touched upon this a little bit, but why do you think people feel like they have a right to question people's sexuality? I know that's a loaded question,
Yeah.
but
Well, I think I mean, everything that I think is just what I think, right? I mean,
yeah, for sure.
but there's a part of me that thinks that we're in a age where everything is online. Everything. I mean, this world is driven by social media,
hmm
right? And it's driven by the idea of posting your life and every single aspect of your life on social media where the world can see. And I don't know if that has an effect, but I think it may have an effect because now people feel like they are entitled to know everything about your life because you put it out there and you've put such an emphasis on social media. You put such an emphasis on putting yourself out there. So it's just another avenue that you're probably missing that they want to know of,
You're so
right?
right. Yeah.
And I also think that I'm not again. I hate to generalize, so I don't want anyone hearing this thinking that anything that I'm saying, is all inclusive. It is not, but I do think that there could be a part of a small percentage of the group of people who are very inquisitive that feel that it's so accepted now, right? We've made I mean, we've come so far from where we
Mhm.
were in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s that it's almost like, well, who cares if you're gay? Who cares if you're
Yeah, just
lesbian? Like,
say
just
it.
say it, come out. Like,
Yeah.
everyone is gonna love you regardless, which is like, it's a great way to think. Like, I'm so thankful for the people who think that way. But look, my coming out process was easy in the sense that my family accepted me. My family accepted me. It was easy, right? It still doesn't take away from the fact that there is a moment in time. There's a moment in my life where I still need to figure out what I'm doing and what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And that's the part that I think people need to respect the
It
most.
must be scary
It is scary.
to have
Of
to
course.
think about all these
Yes,
things.
absolutely. And I think one of the biggest things that scares people really is how their family's going to take it. This
Yeah.
is your family that's supposed to love you unconditionally.
Mhm.
And the way that I see it, love really is conditional. Like, I don't
Yes.
there's always something. There's always something. So,
Even
peop
in marriage,
absolutely, in
right? Like,
marriage, there are
I love
conditions
you as long as
as long as
you
you do A,
stay in
B, and
these
C.
boundaries. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, I even say from time to time that even relationship between parent and child is conditional. Although parents wanna say that their love isn't conditional, it is conditional at times. It is.
Yeah.
You know, parents put an emphasis on kids and going to school, and they have to make them like make something of themselves, and that is a condition of their love, right? There are parents who obviously are not accepting of the LGBTQ community, and a condition of their love is that they are who their parents want them to be.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have both. Right? We have both, and it's difficult, and so that's what people need to realize is that yes, although out of 10 people, 8 of them will love them regardless of what they are and who they love and how they identify, there's going to be a percentage or there may be a percentage that will not accept that. And
Right.
that is the part that they're struggling with.
And that
And that
hurts.
hurts, of
Yeah.
course.
Because we always focus, no matter how big the greatness
Right, the
is,
support
we
is
can see like
right,
that one that's
right.
not there.
Right, of
And that's
course.
like
Of
where
course.
we hone
Right,
in.
because how can I mean, how can you not focus on that if that's someone's mother or someone's father, right?
Yeah.
I have the support of my entire family and all of my friends and every person that I've ever met. But if
Thank
my own
God.
mother doesn't accept me, it's hard to take the focus away
Yeah.
from her,
Right.
right? And many times that is the case. It's
Yeah.
parents that don't want to accept that of their children,
Right.
which is sad because you've been preaching that your love is unconditional, but it is actually conditional,
Yeah. I guess
you
for
know.
some
For
parents
some
it
parents,
is.
right? For some.
And that's that
It
sucks.
sucks,
There's
right?
no
It
other
sucks.
word
And
for
so
it.
really to go back to your question ultimately is like why do people feel the need to like feel like as if it's their business? I think it's because of that. I think
Yeah.
there could be a part of that, right? That they feel like
Right.
we're in a different world now. So why
Yeah.
are you hiding?
It's safe.
It's safe.
Yeah.
Come out. It's safe,
Yeah.
right?
I had never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. That,
Yeah.
I'm sure no one's doing it maliciously.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I
It's
mean, you
like,
would hope not, right?
right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We would hope not. What advice would you have for someone that's struggling with their sexuality, especially like a younger person?
Yeah. Um take your time. There's no rush. There is no
Yeah.
rush. And don't and I'm going to speak from my experience.
Yes.
Okay? From my experience. Don't live your whole sort of late teens, early adulthood solely on trying to figure out what you are, right? Who you're attracted to. Live life. Surround yourself with people that love you. Surround yourself with people who make you feel safe and accepted no matter what. Travel, go out, you know, work, enjoy yourself, all of these things. And when you go and you enjoy life and you get to a point where you're happy, eventually that curiosity will spark and you'll go and you'll figure it out on your own. But you are on your own timeline. You do not have to feel the pressure of coming out for someone. You don't have to come up by a certain age. You don't, doesn't matter. You're on your own timeline. So live your life, be happy, do everything that you want to do, even if it doesn't make sense to anyone else. It has to only make sense to you. And as long as you're happy and as long as you know what you're doing and you know or you feel like you know what your purpose in life is, that's all that matters. Figure it out as you go along.
That's amazing advice just for life.
For life. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm gonna
Yeah.
take notes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you're so
Absolutely.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
one's rushing anybody.
No one's rushing. What is the rush?
Yeah,
You have your whole life.
yeah,
Your whole life. And once you figure out who you're attracted to, you'll have the rest of your life
yeah.
to
To pick one.
experiment and to pick one and to go out
Yeah,
on dates and have fun and
yeah,
do all like don't worry. There's no rush.
yeah.
It's like
Don't give in to pressure.
no, not at all.
Yeah,
Not at all. Not at all.
it's
Life is
true.
life is too beautiful to live with pressure. And that's
Yeah,
easier said than done. Because
definitely.
I've lived through pressure, right?
Yeah,
I went through all
it's
of that.
very real.
But now
We all
looking
feel it.
back, and I'm sure you can relate, like looking back, you can say like life is so beautiful right now that
Yeah,
like why did I worry so
that was
much? Why did
stupid.
that was stupid?
Yeah,
Like what a waste of energy
yeah.
to like worry about things and to
Mm-hmm.
feel like this enormous amount of pressure.
I can definitely relate.
Yeah, we
So
all
like I
can.
don't know if you're like into zodiac signs and stuff.
A little bit. I'm learning. I have a good friend of mine who's a soul cycle instructor that she's taught me a couple of things and I'm very interested in learning a little bit more.
Okay, so I'm a
Yeah.
Virgo.
Okay. Yes, you're like my mom.
Oh,
Yes. Great thing.
yes.
I
Okay,
love
good.
her.
So I it's funny because we were doing a journaling event and we asked people to write about what their biggest fear was.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, if I ask them to do it, I'm gonna do it too. So I'm like, I'm writing, and what comes out is like I'm super afraid of not being perfect,
Right.
and not being perfect in your eyes. I don't
Yeah.
care about you.
Yeah.
It's about me.
In me.
Like
Right.
I need to be perfect for me and my standards.
Yeah.
And it leads to so much worry. And like you said, I look back and it's like that was such a waste. Why was I so worried about, you know, saying the right thing or,
Right.
being this way?
Yeah.
There was no need for that.
No.
And no one cares.
No one cares.
Which I know that.
Yeah.
It's me. I'm the problem.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's just good life advice.
But you know what? It's amazing that you have figured that out, right? About
Yeah.
yourself. But at the same time, it's a beautiful thing that you felt the need to be perfect, to look perfect, to say the perfect things in what you felt perfection to be.
Yeah.
You weren't pressured. At least I don't think you were pressured
Right.
to be perfect in other standards, right? Because you say, I did it for myself.
Right.
So yes, you're absolutely right. Like what a waste of time. Like what a
Yeah.
waste to like be perfect, quote unquote, because there's no definition of perfection.
Right.
But at the very least, looking back, it's great to see that you chose perfection. Like
Mhm.
you chose your definition of perfection, and that's what you chased after.
Right.
Which is, I think, what we all need to learn to do. And we all need to learn to
I'm so happy you
define.
spin that for me in a
Yeah.
positive light.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You always have to take the good out of it, right? Like you got to
Yeah.
think of like, what did I learn about this? And I learned to define what it is that I want, what it is
Yeah.
that I find to be perfect in that moment, right?
Right.
So
Right. I'm happy
Yeah.
you put it that way.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that. You're giving me a lot to think about, Brian.
Yeah,
I'm
well.
sure. Yeah. What do you think the difference is between showing kids what different kinds of families look like and making them feel included when their families are portrayed on TV
Right.
and sexualizing
Yeah.
characters?
Yeah. There is such a big difference between that and like the idea of sexualizing TV shows or movies that are directed to kids. I think that to me, I don't like that. I think there's a time and a place for everything. I think that, I'm not a parent, but if I were a parent, I wouldn't want to be talking about sex with my 7-year-old.
Right.
And, I think that there will be a moment in their life, probably when they're going through puberty and they have the changes going on and they have different, they're feeling differently. And that's probably a great time to talk about sex. And I think at that point they're at a level of maturity where they would somewhat understand and it would help them develop. But as children, I don't see the need to sexualize things. I don't
Yeah.
I don't understand what directors goal, like what a goal of a director is to sexualize a cartoon character for a child. Like children do not comprehend that. They don't understand the
Yeah.
idea of sex. And I think it's like it almost feels like this sort of hidden agenda where we're trying to like have these kids mature so much faster than what they need to be. And I think it's so important to try to preserve the innocence of children. And that is very, very different than than portraying what a family looks like nowadays, which is so different, right?
Right.
And I think a lot of individuals who are maybe not necessarily open to understanding that families are different may see two dads or two moms as sexualizing a family. That's not sexualizing
Mhm.
a family. That is showing what a family is, right? And now I love that we're now moving towards being inclusive of every type of family, right? So you have a mom and a dad, you have two dads, you have two moms. You have a white person and a black person. You have, you know, an Asian person and a Hispanic person. And
Right.
you have these people that are coming together from different backgrounds and different ethnicities, coming together and forming this beautiful family of kids. And whether they are natural or adopted or through surrogacy or through any of that, that is where the lesson should be, because then kids grow up understanding that families can look very different than what they see at home. And
Right.
I think that really would benefit children, because then when they get to a point where they go to school and they see that their friend Ashley has two moms, it doesn't even
Mhm. It doesn't
it
phase
doesn't
them. It's
phase
like, "Oh,
them.
okay."
Right, because
Yeah.
they've already seen that. They already know that families are gonna look different than their own family.
Right.
So it sort of really, I think, in a sense, eliminates, like, the awkward, for lack of a better word, the awkward conversation that a parent will have to have in explaining why someone has two moms or two dads, right? That's where the biggest difference
Yeah.
is. And I think people need to understand that just because we're showing LGBTQ families doesn't mean that we're sexualizing shows for kids. That it's very different.
Mhm.
Sexualizing means that we're talking about sex. That is just being inclusive, right? And it goes far past LGBTQ. Like I said, it goes into race, it goes into
Right.
ethnicity. Some kids are never gonna know that there could be, a white dad and a black mom,
Mhm.
and how that culture affects that family, and how it's different and how it's beautiful in its own way, or how you can bring a Hispanic culture, or like Hispanic culture, and how you can bring Asian culture together to form just as beautiful of a family as what you have at home.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you come from, like, a Hispanic background, you're used to having, probably grandma and grandpa in the house as
Right.
part of the nuclear
Right,
family,
exactly,
and
which is so different,
which is
right? A lot of people
extremely
don't
different.
understand that. It's
Yeah,
so
like,
funny
"Why
because
do you all live
yeah, all
together?"
live together. There's like 4 generations in one house, and we're
Yeah.
like, "That's normal. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, I mean, you can't imagine being another way,
I know,
right?
it's
Like, just
insane.
living with, like, your mom and dad or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
For us, it's like, "No, the whole gang is
That's the
here."
way it is. That's just the way we are.
Yeah, that's how we roll, and everybody's in everybody's business.
Oh, 100%. There's no privacy in that house at all, at all.
Yeah, but,
Yeah,
it's so interesting the way you put it because there is a very stark difference between just hear what some families look like and sexualizing
yeah,
a character,
yeah,
which I think is it's such a shame because it's more than a shame, it's a serious problem. But, like you mentioned, the innocence that's being taken away. I
right,
mean, if you think
right.
about like you're only a child for such a short period of your life
Yes,
where you
yes,
are just experiencing the beauty in life. And
yes.
that's what's going to carry you over later when you face some real stuff.
Right,
You're going to have
right,
that reminder that, you know what, life is beautiful.
right.
But if that gets cut short, I mean, I don't know how you would fix that.
Yeah. No, there's no, and that's the problem. It's that it's irreversible damage.
Yeah.
You cannot fix that. You cannot go back to being a child,
Right.
right? I mean,
You can't unknow things.
right, exactly.
Once
So
you
once you know it and you're exposed to it, that's it. So it's definitely something that I think parents need to be aware of,
Right.
and they need to educate themselves on the difference as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How would you do you think parents are fearful when they see for example like a gay couple in a cartoon
Hmm.
that somehow is going to lead into sexuality?
Right. Like, is my child gonna turn out to be gay because
No, or not have to talk to my kids about sex because of this. Do you know what I mean?
I I don't know because I've never been there. So I can't
Right.
speak from experience. I can't imagine I cannot imagine a child asking a parent anything sexually related to seeing two men or two women together.
Mhm.
I just again, I
Like
don't
they'll
know
say like
children.
why
Why
does
are there
why
why
do
don't they have a mom or why don't they
right
have a
like
dad?
why does
Right?
Joseph not have a mommy?
Right, exactly.
And
Right.
then
And
like
but that like that doesn't you don't have to go into sex because of that.
right.
You can just say because Joseph doesn't have a mommy because he has two dads, right? Because Brian and Peter fell in love just like your dad and I fell in love, or
Right.
just like your mom and I fell in love.
Right.
They fell in love and they had him, right? A child still doesn't know how they're conceived.
Right.
So they don't understand that a man and a woman needs to have sex to conceive a child.
Mhm.
So why would you think if they don't understand that, why would you think you need to explain how two men had a child? Like
Right.
I don't think you would need to do that. Like I don't think that even comes up. Again, I don't know. And maybe there's someone out there that has had that and has had a different experience.
Mhm.
But like I said, from me and being around children, I don't think that they would ask such in-depth questions. I think that's just the parent being overly worried.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're just
Hypersensitive.
hypersensitive, and I
Yeah.
just don't. I think that they're fearful that it may lead to that, and they just don't want to discuss
Where
it.
they're jumping the gun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. But I mean, if you think about it, right? If you've never had a child, if you've never had the conversation with your child on how to conceive a child,
Mhm.
why would you think you need to explain gay sex to a child
Or any kind of sex.
or any? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
yeah.
it's not. It's totally irrelevant. It's totally separate.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
It's yeah, it's interesting how all that works, you know? It's
Hmm.
such a little question that can trigger so much.
Right.
Um, have you thought about how you would approach a situation like that when you do become a parent?
Yeah. I don't I have thought about it, to be honest with you. I think, my goal is to raise my children in a home full of love,
Yeah.
and love really is separate from anything else, right? And, love, I think for me, is about connection to another human being,
Mhm.
regardless of their gender, their their sexual orientation, their color, their ethnicity, anything like that. And that's really what I'm going to strive for, when we do decide to have kids. And um, my hope is that that is enough for them to understand and not to have to question anything else. And the time that they are going to question, or, because, or maybe not question, maybe they will question, maybe they won't. But there's definitely gonna be a conversation
Right.
when they find out what being gay is, or, what being a lesbian is, and they're gonna realize, "Oh, so you guys are gay.
Mhm.
That's what it is." And but again, I think when that happens, it will happen at a time where they are older and they can understand a little more about relationships and how they work,
Right.
and just furthering the connection that you have with someone. But as children, I don't want to discuss sex with my kids. I don't,
Yeah.
not until they're of age
Right.
where I feel is appropriate. Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day,
Where they
they're
can
my children.
understand what you're talking
Right.
about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so until then, our definition of family is the love that we have for each other. And that's
Right.
it. Right. And I have told, I have my mom and I have my best friend that's like my sister. She just had a baby 4 weeks ago. And he's my godson.
Oh my
So yeah,
God.
yeah.
How
And
exciting.
it's a super exciting time in my life and in our lives, in all of our lives, really. Um, and and I have told them that I am going to rely on them when I have a daughter because as a man, I cannot relate to
Mhm.
women when it comes to their body transforming,
Yeah.
right? That's usually what a mother does, right?
Mhm.
Mom helps the daughter, the dad helps the son, right? In those
Yeah.
in those things. I cannot speak to when a girl grows up and she has to buy her first bra or she gets her period for the first time, right? All of these things I can't relate to. So I've let them know that I'm going to put that responsibility on you,
Yeah.
right? And
It
of
takes a
course,
village.
it takes a village to
It
raise a
really
child.
does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I need my village
Yeah.
because there are going to be some conversations that I can't speak to. There are going to be things that dad's going to have to tap out,
Yeah.
right? Because I can't. I don't know. I don't know. And it's
Right.
different. I can educate myself with it, but it's different hearing it from someone who's gone through it themselves, right?
Right.
So it's going to definitely pose its, you know,
Do you know that you want a daughter?
oh,
For sure?
100%. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, girl?
Yeah, I
Oh
definitely.
my
I
God.
want a bigger family. I definitely
Yeah.
do. I grew up in a very traditional home. I don't even again, I say that in the terms of like, you know, we grew up just my brother and I, we didn't have I feel like you very seldom see these big families
It's
anymore
true. Yeah.
anymore. And that's what I really mean by traditional is that I feel like a traditional family is usually about 2 to 3 kids, right?
Right.
But you think about my grandparents. My grandparents, I mean,
My
like my
God.
grandmother was
Yeah.
like one of 5.
I can beat you. My grandmother was one of 17.
What?
Yes.
So your mom or your dad was that on your what side was that on?
On my mother's
So your
side.
mom had like 16 aunts and uncles.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
insane.
Yeah.
To me, that's such a beautiful thing.
I can't
I mean, I'm not
imagine.
having 17 children. That
I
is
can't
definitely not gonna
imagine.
happen.
I
But
mean,
for example,
yeah.
Peter's Peter is actually one of 4 from the same parents, but I know his dad had more kids in addition to that as well. But within the same parents, 4 kids.
Yeah.
And he every time we talk about it, he loved his life. He loved his life.
It's fun.
It's so much fun. And his mom had him back to back. So they're so close in age. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like you have that connection. You have that best friend. It's like a built-in best
Yes.
friend
Yes.
for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to give that to my kids. And so maybe I get to one, I'm like, hell no, I am not having another one of those things.
No,
But I don't
I
know. A lot of people are like, you have to have at least 2. A lot of people say you have
I
to have
feel
at
like
least
with
2.
your personality, you'll have like
I
3
what
because
I always I think about 3 and I think about like, yeah, but when we go to Disney, then there's always a one odd, one out. So I'm like, it's gotta be 2 or 4.
you
2
know.
or 4.
So my best friend, she has 3 kids.
Okay.
She always wanted 4, but
Okay.
God gave her 3,
Right.
so she has 3,
Right.
and she's like, the only thing is, and she said exactly what you say. When we go to Disney, there's always the
One
one.
child who's out, or like the one parent that's out, because one parent has to
Yeah,
sit, or you have to like split them up, right? Like,
yeah.
2 and 3, or whatever. And so, yeah, so I am hoping that I get to a point in my life and in my
Mhm.
career where I can support a family that big. If I can, I will do it
Yeah.
100%. But but going back to that, absolutely, especially the more kids you have, the more of a village, the bigger of a village you need.
Yes,
So, so when it comes to my kids, like I said, I think it's all about raising them with love and acceptance.
for
And
sure.
and I
That's
think I
the
think with that, it really will just questions will
yeah,
answer themselves. I think when they
right.
get old enough to understand that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think, going back to you guys being girl dads, I wouldn't be so nervous if I were you because
No.
Well, when it comes to the sense that like you can't relate to women,
Yeah, yeah,
which
yeah.
is obviously true,
Right, right.
but can I tell you that for a girl, a dad is so important?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
It's so
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the father really puts the framework for how you are gonna relate to men for the
Right,
rest of your life.
right, right.
So the relationship that she'll
It's
have
so
with the
crucial.
2 of you
Yeah,
is gonna be extremely crucial.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
if she's heterosexual, it's how she'll want men to treat
Right,
her,
right, right,
friends,
right,
boyfriends,
right,
husbands, coworkers.
right.
It sets the tone.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. No, and so it's funny because like, I think about this a lot. I plan this out. I think to myself, I would like to have a boy first so that he protects his sister. So there's
oh,
like that element of like protection,
yeah,
right? And so ideally, I would like to have a son first,
right.
and then I would like to have a daughter after, and then after that it doesn't matter. I have two more girls, two more boys, boy and
Yeah.
girl, whatever comes. Um, but hopefully in that sense, it's so funny because I never thought about it that way. I never
Yeah.
thought about the fact that, yeah, you're absolutely right. The
Yeah.
relationship that they have with their father really does set
Mhm.
it up for how
For the rest
for the
of
rest of her life
yeah.
and how she expects to be treated and what she will accept from men.
Yes.
And it's so funny because they always say a man will treat you how he treats his mother. And in
Yes.
this case, there's no mother. So I'm like, what? He's got a sister and he protects her like
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly.
So it's kind of like it works out that way because that's how I really have always wanted to have it. I wanted to have the boy first so that he can protect his younger sister.
Right.
So I've got to just make sure to like drill that in him. Like you
Yeah.
treat women with respect or I brought you into this world.
Oh
I'll
my
take you out of
god.
it.
Right? Already practicing that line.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
use that on my kids and they look at me like,
They're like, what?
"Enough. Like we're that's it. We're
We're over you.
we're over you. Like just stop." It's
That's
yeah,
funny.
it's parenting is interesting
I'm
for
sure.
sure.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I feel like nothing will as much as self-aware as you are as a person, nothing will make you take a look at yourself, the good and bad, as when you have kids.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see why.
It's
I can see
it's
why.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I talk to my mom. I mean, my mom and I are like best friends. We talk every single day. And um she tells me like there are moments where like she gets emotional. She's like, "Do you think I was a good mother?" And
Oh
like,
my
"Do you think
god.
that?" I was like,
I'm gonna start crying.
sometimes I feel like I'm like a failure or whatever. I'm like, "Mom,
Yeah.
excuse me, like you have two beautiful, wonderful, successful kids. What are you even worried about? Like, of course you're not a failure." So
It
it's funny that you bring that up because
yeah.
she thinks the same thing.
No, I say to my husband all the time, do you think I did something bad?
Yeah.
Like, "Oh my god, do you think I messed them up? Like, what are they gonna say to a
Yeah.
therapist 20 years from now?
Yeah,
That I
right.
was
It's my
awful?"
mother. Yeah.
Like,
It's all because of my mom.
oh my god,
No,
he's
I
like,
doubt that. I doubt that.
"Oh, thank
But
you."
I think it's normal. I think it's normal for us to question ourselves and
Yeah.
if we're doing a good job, right?
I mean, this is like as cliche as it is, the biggest job. It's
Yeah,
like I don't want to
it
mess
is
this
the
one
biggest
up,
job.
you know?
Absolutely. Oh my
I don't
gosh.
want to raise like these entitled
No.
crazy
Right,
people,
right, right.
I want to do a good job.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
want people to go like,
We all
"Hey,
do.
those are good
We all do.
kids."
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
for sure. I'm
it's
sure. I'm
I'm
sure.
excited for you
Yeah.
guys. That's
Yeah.
um so you mentioned failure. So let's just go there. How
Mhm.
do you deal with failure?
Oh my goodness. Well, as hard as it is, because it is very I will tell you, it's very, very hard to do this. I really do try to look at something positive out of the failure,
Yeah.
right? And it's very cliche, right? Take the good out of it. Look at the good in it. And I think it's cliche for a reason. I always say like cliches are cliches for a
I was
reason.
gonna say just that. They work.
They work.
Yeah.
And you know, whenever I do fail, I really kind of like go back and I say, okay, why did I fail? Why is it that I think I failed? Right? Because I think number one, like we have to figure out whether we truly failed in something, right? And if we determine that, yes, we failed in this, why? What was it? Did I not give it everything that I could? Did I totally miss something? Was I not set up for success? Did I not set
Sorry,
myself
I just
up?
kicked
No,
you.
you're fine. Did I not set myself up for success in this? And how can I do it? Is it worth trying again? Right. And so we all know without failure, we are not going to be where we are. We're not going to
Right.
be our best forms. Life is not meant to go perfectly 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of your life. You are meant to fall. You are meant to fail. But it's what you do with those failures that really will set you aside from the rest of the crowd, right? Because you can either choose to sit and soak in your failures and focus on what you did wrong, or you can choose to look back and say, what did I do wrong? How can I make it better? And what do I need to do to not allow this to happen again? And I think it's those of us who look at it in that sense and realize that that's when we find all of the successes after. And it's funny, you look back at your failures. We talked about this earlier, how looking back, it's so different.
Yeah.
And when you look back in your life, you realize that everything happened for a reason and you failed for a reason. And I definitely, going back to fitness, I definitely felt like I sort of failed in my decision making when I decided to move over to fitness from corporate. And I thought to myself, I can't believe this. And then when I started thinking about it, I said, no, I took a risk. It was a risk that I wanted to do. Do not regret your choice because at one point you did exactly what you wanted to do. And that's the thing about regret. I say this in my class all the time. You will never regret pushing yourself harder. You will only regret not pushing yourself hard enough.
Right.
Okay. So I realized and I woke up and I said, no, I'm not. I didn't fail because I took the risk that I wanted to take. Um, and now it's not going according to plan. Why? It's a pandemic. It's out of my hands. And
It wasn't in
it
anyone's
wasn't in
plan.
anyone's plan at
Yeah.
all. Everyone failed at something
Right.
because of this pandemic. Everyone. But you can choose to think that your life is over because of it, or you can choose to say, if I live through this, I can live through anything and bring it because I'm
Yeah.
ready. Because now I'm stronger. And now, if I live through that, nothing is going to stop me. Right.
Right.
That's how I try my best to live with failure. Seems to be
Beautifully
working.
said.
Seems to be working. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Talk to me in 10 years.
No, listen, that was beautifully said because it's true. In those uncomfortable moments where you're questioning everything is when the real growth happens and when the
100%.
change happens.
Yes. Yeah.
Because, for example, you switching careers. Had you not been unhappy and found yourself pushing yourself in a certain direction, you wouldn't be here right now.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you might even be miserable
Yeah.
because you
Absolutely.
didn't like your job.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's so important
It
to
is.
not let the idea of failure stop you.
Right. Right.
Because had you stayed in that job, that would have been a form of failure in itself.
Absolutely. I'm failing myself by not
Yeah,
living my truest form.
right.
Right.
And just being unhappy for 8 hours a day, that's a big price to
Absolutely.
pay.
Absolutely. You spend more time at work than you do at home.
Yeah,
Right. And so if you're spending more than half your life in a place that you're unhappy or unfulfilled,
right.
what life are you really living?
Yeah. And it's scary to make that change.
Of course,
But to me, it's more scary not to, you know?
it's
It's like,
scarier to get to a point in your life where you look back and you
yeah,
say, what did I waste all
right.
these
To
years
think
for?
that like 30
To think you
years
wasted
went
your
by
life. Yeah.
and this is, you look around and you,
Yeah.
you have nothing to say like that you're proud of or that you
Right.
enjoy it or
Right.
whatever the
Right.
case, whatever the path may be.
Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
I
And how
totally
many,
relate.
I hear it all the time. Parents who want their kids to go out and go away to college and have those experiences and do whatever they want because they never had those opportunities.
Mhm.
Right. So it's almost like that's what we're trying to avoid now.
Yes.
I'm trying to avoid me in 20, 30 years looking back and say, I want my kids to live the life that I wish that I would have.
Right.
I'm living the life that I
Yeah, I
wanted to
wanna
live.
lead by
Right,
example.
exactly.
I wanna live
Exactly.
the life that is best for me,
Right.
and my kids can just follow in that idea
Yes. Yes.
where, you and life changes and people change. Just because you
Yes.
started at this career doesn't mean that you're gonna
No.
end there.
No. Listen, I just finished my MBA in business,
Oh my
and I
goodness.
started it when I was working in corporate because I thought it was gonna help me in my career. And here I am in fitness, which no one can take away your education,
Right.
right? I mean, that's always gonna benefit you. I mean, you know that more than anyone, you were a
Yeah.
teacher. But nonetheless, it's like career paths are never linear. Never. The path
Yeah.
always snakes its way through obstacles and changes, and you just go with it.
It's so true. Yeah, especially when you're like you have the traditional sense of career, like you go to
Right.
college, you get a
Right.
degree, and then you're like,
Right. And
okay,
then
I know what I'm doing. I'm set for the
yeah.
next 20 years, 30 years, what however long.
Right.
I know where I'm gonna be. I know what door I'm opening,
Yeah.
what door I'm closing, and I'm going
Mhm.
home.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
Nope.
something happens, that
Life knocks
switch
at the
goes
door.
off, and you're
Yep.
like, wait a
Yep.
minute, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's scary. It's a scary thing for sure,
yeah.
but necessary.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Was Peter well, I'm sure he was supportive, but did he have what role did he play when you were
He
going through all these changes?
Yeah, he was so yeah, we met when I was working in corporate and I had very stable job, everything was great and he was honestly, I don't think I would have been able to do it without him.
Yeah.
Honestly, because when you have that support from the person that means the most to you in this world, it it eliminates a little bit of fear from taking the big risk, from taking the big jump. And he has always supported me in everything that I have ever wanted to do. And it just alleviates so much pressure,
Right.
just knowing that, you know what, if I quit and this doesn't work out and I'm out of a job, knowing that you're going to be supported
Mhm.
by the person that you love and just being told, listen, whatever happens, we'll figure it out like we
Right.
always do.
We will be okay.
We will be okay.
Yeah.
Right. That is something that is so valuable to give to someone who is thinking about making such a drastic move, right? Whether that's a career change or whether that's going back to work after being a stay-at-home mom for so long or stay-at-home
Yeah.
dad for so long, right? Or maybe it's that you have been so career driven and now you want to start a family and you don't want to work anymore, right?
Mhm.
These are all huge changes in your life. As long as you have the support from the person that you share the household with, your partner in life, you can't ask for anything better than that.
I agree.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I feel the same way. When I was going through it, my husband made all the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it so much easier.
Just someone that knows you
Yes.
in that
Yes.
way, on
Yeah.
that
On such a
level,
deeper level.
saying it's okay. It will be fine. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Whatever happens, but I know it's gonna go well. So the fact that they believe in you
Yes.
and see
Yes.
something that you're
Yes.
not willing to see in
In yourself.
yourself and
Yeah.
that moment
Yeah.
is so important.
Yeah.
Because in that
Definitely.
moment you're full of so many emotions and you're
Mhm.
scared and everything's so sensitive,
Yes.
right? Like,
Yes.
am I totally gonna screw up our lives
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
a big fear of a lot of
Yeah.
people is that their lifestyle is going to change because they don't have the income. I feel like that's like the number one thing that people
Yeah.
focus on,
Which is
which
very
is a
real.
valid, which is a
Like, how are you gonna
totally
pay your
valid. Of
bills?
course. And,
You know?
and look, I always say this all the time. I'm like, listen, I hate talking about money. I hate it.
I do
I
too.
hate it. Just makes me so uncomfortable. And I'm like, I don't do things for the money. I really don't.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we have to pay our bills.
Right.
That's the unfortunate reality. I wish I didn't have any bills to pay, but I'm not there quite yet. So eventually I'm hoping I'll get there at some
Yeah.
point where everything's paid off and I own everything and I don't have to worry as much. But until then, the reality is we have bills to pay, right?
Yeah.
But I again, going back to having everything happen the way it's supposed to, everything will work itself out. And Peter's aunt has always given that advice to us, and it's something that I really it really did change my life and the way that I viewed money in general is money always comes around.
Mhm.
Always comes around. It goes out one window and it comes in through another avenue.
Right.
always. And you never have to worry because it will always come back around and everything will always work itself out.
Yeah.
And right when you had to pay your last bill and you have $1 in your account, you put on a pair of jeans and you realize you have a $20 bill in that pocket. I'm
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, I can buy lunch today." So, it just always
Yeah.
works out that way, and
Yeah.
it's funny when you really sit back and you think about those things, you're like, "Wow, it actually does always work out that way."
It's true.
It's crazy, it's crazy.
It's
But
true.
but anyway, I bring the financial aspect of it because I think that's just such a driving factor for so many
Yeah.
people and, like, wanting to make such a career change is, like, the finances, the finances, the finances, which is, again, very valid.
Right.
But there comes a point where you have to put your happiness above your finances and adjust where you can, cut back where you can, but your
Right.
happiness and your drive is worth so much more than that.
Yeah, because it's your health, you know?
Absolutely. Mental
Your
health.
mental health, then your
Yes.
physical health
Yes, which
so
affect
much
yeah, right, because it affects
is
everything.
tied
Yes.
to this thing that you're doing every day.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah, I was gonna ask you, what advice would you have for someone that's, um, thinking? Because we already talked about, like, someone that's, or did we?
What?
No. What advice would you have for someone that's thinking about switching careers like that, like, so drastically, like you did?
Well, you definitely have to be smart about your decision, right?
Yeah.
I think, again, to as uncomfortable as it is, you have to talk about the finances and you have to see
Yeah.
if it's financially doable, right? And you need to make adjustments in your life to set yourself up, whether that means moving back home with your parents so that you don't have bills to pay, right? And so you always need to have a stream of income. And I think maybe alleviating yourself from that, having to pay rent or having to pay a mortgage,
Right.
that helps out a lot. But let's say you're an adult and you're married and you have kids and that's not an option for you, right? Then you have to put a game plan together and you have to say, you know what?
Yeah.
For the next year, I'm going to dedicate to working every single hour of overtime. Like I'm going to sacrifice everything that I could to save every single penny that I can to put in that account so that when I leave my job and there's going to be that moment of uncertainty when it comes to the income, whatever that may be, you're ready.
Yeah.
You're ready. You've saved up enough money. You've set yourself up for success. You can't just be like, from one day to the next, quit your job, no source of income, and you're gonna go open a store and you have $3,000 in your bank account. It's
Right.
just not going to happen. You
Right.
have to be smart about what it is that you want to do, right? And that's what I did when I made the career change. I slowly entered the fitness world little by little. I started coaching on the side.
Yeah.
Then I started working my way up. And again, right when I was able to like cut it off and transition fully, pandemic happened. But I was lucky enough where I had money saved that I
Mhm.
can fall back on. And I did have the support of Peter to help me through that moment. But then the second we reopened, I was right back to work and I worked every single class that I could to make up for time lost
Right.
in those 3 months that we
Right.
were closed, right? So, as much as I would wanna say, "You know what? If you don't like your job, screw it. Quit your job today and go to" no, like, it's not
Right. Be
doable.
smart
We
about
have
it.
to be smart about it.
Have
We
a
have to
plan.
plan. We
Yeah.
have to
That's
plan.
what I always tell people.
Yes.
Have a plan
Yes.
and don't be afraid to discuss, like you said, money and the ugly side
Yeah,
of
yeah,
things.
yeah.
You have to be able to talk about it. You
Yes.
have to say, well, what are we gonna do if we're coming up short?
Right.
What
Right.
what's the plan?
Right.
Yeah.
Because then, that's gonna again, once you have those conversations and you plan for that, that's gonna alleviate a lot of unnecessary pressure on your biggest source of support,
Yeah.
right? Because you don't want to get to a point where you're arguing and fighting about finances and about money because you left your job to pursue your dreams, but now your dreams aren't working out. And it's like,
Right.
so the more planning and the more conversations you have with your significant other, I think
Right.
that's going to really set you up for success.
And actionable goals,
Yes.
right? Like how
Yes.
you knew you wanted to go into fitness, so you started like
Get
little, you
small
know what I
attainable
mean?
goals, right? Small
Right.
and focus on the small wins,
Yeah.
right? Focus on the small wins. It's not you don't have to go in with it knowing that your one and only win is being profitable. No,
Right.
right? You we all have small victories that we need to focus on. It's the small victories, it's the small accomplishments, the small wins that we have that we really do need to start focusing on, and And sometimes the smallest victory alone is, I don't know, if you want to start your own business, purchasing your LLC or
Right.
registering your company. That in itself is such a big win for you. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean anything, right? Like it's just the start, but it's the start. Finally,
You broke through
you
that
broke through it.
wall.
Yes.
Now it's
Now it's
real. It's the
real and it's
thing.
happening and it's
Yeah.
mine and I purchased this and this is just the first step of many. And there's going to be a million steps that I'm going to have to take to get to where I want to be. But this is the first one. And this in itself is an accomplishment. So that's also a really important thing, is to focus on the small victories, because if
Right.
not, you will get overwhelmed. You will get impatient, because then it's going to take
That's
forever.
Such a big one.
It's going to take forever to get to where it is that you want to be. So it's all about smaller steps in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a big one. And patience.
Yes.
Right?
Which we all lack, myself included.
Yeah.
I have no patience.
We struggle with that so
Yes,
much.
because we want everything now, which, you know
Yeah.
what? I don't blame you for it. You know, we want to be
I mean,
successful
we've been
now.
conditioned to
Yes.
right? Like instant
Right.
gratification
Absolutely.
in
Absolutely.
everything
Yeah.
surrounding us. So when it comes to your success, you're like, well, I did this.
Right.
Why am I
Right.
not
Like, I don't
seeing
want to
res-
have to work for 5 years to establish myself. Like, I want it now. And
Yeah.
listen, I'm not saying you're wrong for it, because I want the same thing. It's just not reality. It's just
Right.
not going
It's
to
not
happen
gonna
that way.
happen. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So,
It's true.
yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
true. Oh my goodness. It's so funny. The things that we have to like deal with as people.
Yeah. I know. So many
Um
things.
and even then, like we live in like such a great, great city. Like
We
we have
do.
great
We do.
weather.
I
We
always,
should not be complaining.
I know. I always say, I'm like, we're making it in what is now the second most expensive city in
Can
the
you believe
country.
this? Can
I'm
you
like,
believe it?
sometimes I tell myself, I'm like, I feel like such a failure. Like, like I feel like I'm not where I'm supposed to be. And like, right. Like I have like those relapses where I start questioning everything in my life. And I'm like, should I be more successful? And then I realize, I'm like, you know what? I am successful. I am living in the
Yeah.
second most expensive city in the country.
Right.
And I'm making it. That's a
Yeah.
win. That's a win. That's
And
an
you're
accomplishment.
healthy
And I'm
and you're
healthy and I'm
happy.
exactly.
That's
So
success.
that is
right there.
success. 100%. There's
Yeah.
success is another word. There's so many words that you cannot define. There's
Mhm.
no definitive answer to what that means. Success is
Right.
one of them.
Right.
Perfection is one of them. Those are things that they have no definition, because it's different for every single person.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that one specifically, you need to like sit down and think about what it means to you,
Right.
and then just focus on that.
Yeah.
Don't look around.
Yeah.
Because everyone's on their own path, on
Yeah.
their own
Yeah.
definition that
I
they
know.
have going on.
Yes.
Figure yours out and then just keep going.
Keep moving. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I at least in my mind, that's the only way to go about it. Otherwise, I will be super miserable. No, it's true. So, lastly, I know that you're not a big reader,
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
wouldn't be our podcast
I
wouldn't be
know.
Miami Lit if
I
we didn't
know.
talk a little bit about books.
Yeah.
So, do you have a favorite book?
I feel like I'm going to get judged by this.
No judgment zone.
Okay. No judgment zone. I love to read all of the housewife books that they.
Somehow I was expecting
You were
that.
expecting that answer. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Oh
Oh
my
my gosh. My favorite, which is a signed book by Teresa Giudice, is Turning the Tables, which is the book that she wrote when she was really like after like coming out of prison,
Okay.
right? And it's basically about her being a housewife, going to prison, and then coming back and really just turning the tables around. Just fabulous. I mean, there's a lot of
I mean, if you think about that story,
it's crazy. It really is.
I don't know if I would have come out the other
I don't think
side.
so either.
You
I think
know,
it would
like
have broken
to
me.
go to jail, to have to leave your family, the whole world is watching and making judgment and coming up with their own opinions,
Right.
and then to have to come back.
And have to come back and like re-enter society with all of those
Oof.
stigmas
Yeah.
around you.
That's
It's
I
hard.
probably would have gone live under a rock
Yeah,
somewhere.
absolutely. I
Like,
would have wanted my
nobody talk to
privacy. Right,
me.
right. I don't want to talk about it. But she's been so open and so vulnerable, and she's owned it, right? And she's owned her
I'm gonna
part
have
in
to
it.
read it now.
You have to read it.
I've
I
never
love
read
it.
any
Well,
of
I
the
have it, so
books.
I'll lend it to
Well,
you.
it's signed, so no.
I'll lend
I
it to
don't.
you. I'll lend it
It's
to
too
you. But if
precious.
if anything happens to that book, I don't know, something's gonna happen to you.
Oh my god! And then ties with her, so it's
Yeah.
not like I can get you another
Yeah,
copy.
no, I know. No, I'm messing, but
No,
no,
I
I really so I love that book. I am so curious to read the newest one. It's I think it's called It's Not All Diamonds and Rosé. I think that's what it's called. It's the newest book
from
from the Bravo reality
yeah,
world.
but it's all of them, right?
Yeah, so
It's
it's
Andy's
actually
book.
yes,
Okay,
and
I've
it's
heard of it.
yes, and
Yeah,
an it's like a tell all behind the scenes, like all of like the
the
real
nitty
dirt
gritty.
that is happening behind the scenes that nobody knows of was written
That's
in
what I
this
want to
book.
know.
That's what I want to know. So I'm not a reader, no, but I love me a good gossip story. So,
Yeah,
and if it's a 300-page gossip story, I am all for it. So let's flip the pages and let's read through it.
that's
So yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna read it now just because
Yeah,
you
we have
recommended
to.
it.
We have to. We'll get the book.
Yeah.
I don't have the newest one. I don't have it yet. I have to purchase it. When I do, we'll read it together. We'll start a book club.
Oh my God, I would love
Let's do a
that.
book club.
I will love that. Yes, I'm down. Count me in. Do you have any future projects that you want to share with us?
Any future projects? So it's funny. There's actually right now. I think definitely like my number one project right now is just to continue establishing myself in fitness. Right, like I said, I'm a year and a half in. I'm still a newborn at this. Right, because I mean this industry is just it's a very old industry. There are people that have been here for years and years and years, and there's so many people that know so much more. So I think I really just want to. I'm in a stage of my life where I'm just a sponge and I'm just kind of
Right.
pulling everything in, and so I definitely want to do that. But while I do that, I really do love fashion. I love it. I just love clothes, and I love to go shopping. I mean, I feel like we all
Yeah,
most of us share this hobby. Um, but it's funny, I always feel like men never have enough options.
it's true.
You go to a store, and I mean, how many stores in the mall are just women only?
Mhm. Yeah.
And how many stores are men only? Like none. There are no
None.
stores that are men only. There are stores that sell both,
Right.
and then
But
there
then
are
the men's section is big.
is this big, and it's
Yeah.
just like, are you kidding me? I mean, you go into DSW,
Right. Ooh.
how big is DSW, and then how big is the men's section?
Yeah.
It's like women have like 30 aisles and men have 2 aisles. And
It's
half of them are
true.
hideous anyway.
Yeah,
Half of them
it's
are shoes I would
true.
never wear. So, one of the biggest things that I have really, really wanted to do was open up a boutique for men. And I mean, I just respect fashion so much.
Yeah.
I love the art of fashion. I mean, it's you live your life in it. You
Right.
live I mean, clothes is just a part of you. It's how you express
And it
yourself,
can make you
right?
feel so good,
Yes,
right? Like
it's
you put
amazing.
on the right
The
outfit
right
and all
outfit
of a
and it
sudden
works and you are feeling yourself
yeah, you
and
can take on the world,
it's like the
right?
smallest little joy
Yeah.
that this piece of fabric can bring to someone, right?
It's true.
So I couldn't have a store without having like a little bit of a women's section. So I would definitely do like co-ed,
Yeah.
right? So definitely uh a store that would sell both. But I definitely want to cater because women have uh so many options to
Mhm.
choose from. I definitely do want to cater to men primarily.
Yeah.
And because Peter's Puerto Rican, I would love to support Puerto Rican artistry
Mhm.
and have designers that are from Puerto Rico
That's so cool.
and have an opportunity for them to sell their clothes in a boutique style here in the States and get their names out. And I
I love
love the
that.
idea. Yeah, I love the idea of having pieces that you are not going to walk into a restaurant and have
And
4 other
everyone else
women or 4 other men share the same shirt, right? Because
yeah.
we all shop at the same stores. We all
Yeah,
shop at the same chain stores, right?
it's
And I
true.
think one of the biggest things for me too is to make things affordable because yes,
Yeah.
I'm not saying there aren't boutiques for men, there are. But when you go in and they're charging $250 for a shirt, I'm like,
Mhm.
all right, you are marketing yourself to like the 1%. Like, what
Right.
about everyone else? Like, what about everyone else
Right.
that like just doesn't make enough money to afford that, but like wants to look good, right? So it's like that's really what I really have set my mind to, and I've been wanting to pursue that for a very long time. So that's definitely something. I also think that like a very cool concept is unisex clothing. It's funny. I have certain pieces in my closet that are female, that are women clothing. It's just it's either oversized
Right.
or it just fits. It's just a certain style
Mhm.
that when I put it on, nobody would know. Like
Right.
nobody would know that it was a woman's shirt, right?
Right.
Maybe you look at like the buttons, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
buttons are the other way around, right? Because the buttons on women are the opposite. Um, I have a belt from Gucci that's a woman's belt, because it's the other way, but it was cheaper than men's belts. So I said, it's the same belt and it's cheaper, so I'm taking this one and I don't care, you know? So it's like I love I love the idea of like unisex clothing, like something that can fit
Yeah.
for both men and women. I think maybe establishing that a little more would help take away the I don't know, I guess like take away the whole thing of masculine versus feminine,
Right.
and and again it like fitting into a box of what people think is like a masculine
Mm-hmm.
shirt or shorts or a piece of an article of clothing that's
Right.
masculine versus feminine. And I think fabric is fabric and it's beautiful, and I think anyone can wear anything they want, and if you feel comfortable in it, if you feel right in it, who cares if it
Yeah.
was meant for men or meant for women? If you want to wear it, wear it. Who cares? you know? And like I said, there are articles of clothing that really could go either way. I mean,
It's
you
true.
would never think like, and again, you would never think that like my sweater or my jacket or my shirt was like a woman's shirt. Again, I don't have a lot of them, but there's a couple several pieces that I loved. We went to a it's I don't even know where it's from. I don't know if it was a Moroccan store, or an Arabic store in Puerto Rico. It was
Mm-hmm.
in Old San Juan. Gorgeous, gorgeous store. It was absolutely breathtaking. And all of these things were imported from from Morocco, or I don't know exactly where they were located. They were importing all these things, and there was this bejeweled jacket that was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it was honestly, I think, one of the most beautiful pieces of clothing that I've ever seen in my entire life. And I bought it because I said, I need this piece. And it was
Yeah.
for women. And I just got a 3XL because that's what fit me.
Right.
And it's definitely a statement piece. It's definitely a piece that like you don't wear it to like just a casual out like
Yeah.
dinner. Like it's definitely like an event. But I know that if I have an event, maybe I'm like putting it out in the universe, I get invited to like a red carpet event or something like
Yes.
that. It's one of those pieces that you're like, where did you get that jacket? Like it's just a one of a kind piece that was initially made for women, but like I can wear it too. I can rock it
Right.
too. And it's how you style it. And it's how so I think like kind of like blurring the lines of masculine
Mm-hmm.
and feminine, it's almost like a little bit of a challenge for me. And I
For
love that. I
sure.
love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's a future project that hopefully will come to fruition soon.
That's so
We'll see.
cool.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That
I don't know.
sounds so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Calvin Klein, what was it called? One or the
Oh,
one?
yes,
Do you remember
yes,
the
yes,
cologne?
yes, 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 yes.
Wasn't he
That was
like
unisex, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, it
like
can go for
men
either one. This hat is a woman's hat.
no
I
way.
swear, I'm not kidding. And my friend who owns this boutique, I fell in love with the hat. I loved it. And I said, do you have a size that would fit a men's head? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. And she's like, I'll just bring you the biggest size. So
That's
I got it
awesome.
because I loved it.
It's
And,
beautiful. I
and
love
what
your
is
hat.
it? Like it's just I love the pattern. I love that it's happening out.
Yeah.
It's different. It's supporting a small business. It's a small
Yes.
boutique. It's owned by my friend, which she has gorgeous things. And I tell her all the time, I'm like, why do you only cater to women? It's like it's like an all women's boutique. And she has beautiful, beautiful
What's the
things.
name of the store?
It's called Islamar.
I feel like I've seen that.
Yeah. So it's her boutique, Islamar.
Is that where is that located?
It's online. It's online.
So where have I
Their
seen that
Instagram
name?
is called Shop Islamar.
Maybe that's where I saw it
It's
on
on maybe it's on
Instagram. I feel
Instagram.
like
Yeah.
for sure
So
I've
it's
seen
it's
that.
a friend that here in Miami that she
Yes.
owns that boutique, and she has gorgeous things, and she's Colombian, and she supports all of her clothes are
Or
Colombian designers.
I love
She
that.
supports her
Yeah.
country, right? And I am all for it, and I love it. I said, "Give me the hat." That's the only thing I can really like. That's the only thing that fits my style. Like, it's like the only thing I can kind of pull off there. So I said, "Give me the hat," and I fell in love with it. And it's funny. I kid with her all the time. I'm like, "Come on, like just
Get some.
get men's clothes. I promise you, I'll buy from you. And she's like, well, if you find, Colombian designers that have clothes that you would wear, let me know and I'll find them. I'm like, okay, fine. But yeah, that's,
They're
yeah,
so
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see how in the
hopefully,
future all these
hopefully,
things
hopefully, yeah, will
come into
come.
fruition.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
definitely.
can see it. A nice boutique
Yeah,
in
I
the
hope so.
city.
Yeah, somewhere. I like see
Yeah.
like the brick walls and like the black and white striped awnings out front
Oh
and
my God, how
that kind of like
pretty.
somewhere like maybe in the Grove or like South Miami. And then
Yeah.
Peter's like, you know how much that's gonna cost? Like, let's be real. Like, we're starting
The
online.
voice of
Yeah, I
reason.
know. He's always the voice of reason. I'm like, you suck. You take the fun out of everything. I'm like, why do you have to like pull me back down to reality and like realize that like, okay, yeah, maybe we
Yeah.
can't afford that right now. But he's like, no,
I
don't worry. In
know.
due time, you'll be able to build up and you'll get there. But you've got to be realistic with your goals. I'm like, okay, fine. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
No, the
Yeah.
same thing happens to me. I'm like the big dreamer.
Yeah.
I'm immediately
Yeah.
like, I can tell you.
Yeah, right. It's like I want to
And then-
open up an office and I'm gonna be in the penthouse in Brickell, and
Yeah.
you're like, no,
And then
no, we're gonna work out of our garage first,
right.
and then
Manny's
we'll
like, no. I love your enthusiasm,
and we'll get there,
but not yet.
yeah, but not
Like,
yet, not yet.
This is where we are right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which you definitely need someone to kind of
Yeah, definitely, because
you
I'll be
know,
in debt.
remind you.
I'll be in debt.
Oh,
Yeah, for sure.
1,000%.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
be like, my credit card bills would be like
Oh, my
so
credit cards will be maxed out.
huge. Like, I would just be like, yeah, it's okay. I'll
Yeah.
get paid.
Yeah. At some point, we'll figure out how to pay for this eventually.
I know. So, I'm glad. I'm happy that I have somebody tapping me, going like, hey,
Oh yes, we need that. We need
come
that
back.
person. We need that person. We all need
Reel
that
it in.
person. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's important to
For
have that
sure.
person for sure.
Well,
So,
thank you so much.
yeah, thanks for having
spending
me.
time with
Oh,
us.
this was so much fun.
Oh, I'm so happy.
This was
I'm
so much
happy
fun.
you had a good
Yeah,
time.
I had a blast with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we talked about some fun things and some important things. So I hope that
A good mix.
the people listening can take something away from it,
Yeah,
and it's helpful.
Yeah.
So if you're going through a career change, if you're
absolutely.
struggling with your sexuality, or if you just have questions about
Right,
you
right.
know
Which is
anything.
fine, right? It's fine to
Yeah.
question. It's fine, and I mean, I'm always open to having.
Right.
Yeah, I love to know people. I love to hear what people have to say and what people have to think about today's message and see if they agree and if they disagree and why and
Yeah.
maybe read people's own experiences and
Right.
I think the more we listen, the more we learn.
Right.
So,
So your episode, I'm sure people can see it when they click on it. It's titled The Art of Conversation.
yeah,
Just because I feel like this is where everything starts, right?
Yeah.
With a question
yes,
and having that conversation.
yes,
And
yes,
having the conversation with the intent to listen,
right,
not the intent to respond.
correct. Oh my gosh, you hit it perfectly.
Because
Perfectly.
so often we engage and we're thinking of a rebuttal.
Yes.
And what am I going to say
Yes.
so that I'm heard? And you are being heard because you're engaging in a conversation.
Right.
So
right.
come into it with the intent to listen.
Right. And the intent to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like if we all did that, things would flow
We'd
so
be
much
in such
easier.
a better place in life. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad we practiced what we preached.
Yes.
We listened
Yes.
to each other and we had
Yeah.
a really nice conversation.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have asked for a better one.
Yeah. This was exciting.
Great.
This was good. Well, thanks for having me.
No, you're welcome back anytime.
Yeah. Well, you're going to regret
anytime.
saying that because I'll be here every week.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? I will love it. We could talk. We could have housewives updates.
Yes, for sure. Well, I'll just
The
come in and do
only
my little like
person-
reality TV check and then I'm out.
Yeah, we're the only person in real life that I've met that like. Yeah,
Watches that.
because all my
Beautiful.
other friends are like, we're too busy for that. We don't have time for that.
of
And I'm
course.
here like
Yeah.
at midnight, like
Yeah.
I need to know what
Yeah.
happened.
It's like, listen, you'll make time for it if it's important to you. And it's important to me, so I make time for it.
I'm nosy. I need to know what's going on.
I need to know.
And
I love the
need-
gossip, girl. I
Yeah.
love it.
I need
love it.
45 minutes of mindless TV and mindless BS that doesn't
Yes.
belong to me.
Yes.
It's not mine, so
Yes.
I'm gonna watch it.
So we're gonna have fun. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So to everybody listening, thank you for spending time with us. And like I said, I hope you took something away from this episode. You had some laughs And we will have Brian's information linked down below so they can reach out to you with questions about fitness and everything and anything.
Anything they
You
want.
are an open book and you're so
Yes,
helpful.
always.
So thank you so much.
Thank
And
you
we
guys.
will see you next time.